nag-defer bunga ng desisyon ni Pangulong Duterte upon the recommendation of the Secretary to defer the opening of classes to October 5, and this is on pure distance learning modality. At yan po ay ngayon ay napaka-advance na ng ating preparations. Kung maalala nyo, ang ating Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan ay nagbibigay ng framework at saka ng mga options as well as the support mechanisms. But at the end of the day, ang operationalization po nito ay hindi one size fits all. Kung kaya napakalaki ng naging tungkulin ng ating mga region, divisions, and schools sa pag-contextualize nitong Learning Continuity Plan. Sila din ang namahala dun sa mga dry runs natin or simulation for various contexts and situations that is responsive to the conditions at the local and even up to the household levels, in particular regions, divisions, and schools. So ngayon pong araw, kagaya ng nabanggit ni Director Godoy ng ating Public Affairs Service, ay inanyayahan natin ang 4 na ating mga regional directors upang magbahagi ng mga status ng paghahanda nila. Represented dito ang Region 2, NCR, Region 4A at saka ang Region 10. So ang pagbabahagi pong ito ay parang pinapalawak lamang namin yung aming regular na pagbabahagi ng mga regional directors natin at our almost weekly management committee meetings. At simula pa po nung Abril ay practically wala tayong holiday kagaya ngayon. So aside from that, at the policy level ay ang policy process that is the most urgent now is the preparation and the legislation of the new Appropriations Act for 2021. Kaya mamaya pagkatapos nung pagbabahagi ng ating mga regional directors ay magbibigay din ng just an overview on the budget proposal on the part of the Department of Education. So I think this day is actually devoted to for us to share what is happening on the ground with greater detail than what is shared with you at the national level. And I think the questions that is more reflective of the details on the ground can be given due course in today's briefing. So yun lamang on behalf of the Secretary who I think is in the opening of the IATF meeting, but I think at some point she will be joining us also in this briefing. So magandang umaga po. Merry Christmas to all.
Maligayang Pasko, sir, and mag-start na yung bare months tomorrow. Okay, maraming salamat, sir. To give us a brief backgrounder po ng ating preparations ng field offices, let's also welcome Undersecretary for Field Operations, Yusek Rebsi Escobedo, for his opening message. Sir?
Magandang umaga sa aking mga kasamahan sa Department of Education, kay Yusek Nepo Malaluan, kay Yusek Ann Sevilla, at kay Director June Godoy, sa ating mga regional directors na mag-uulat mamaya, at sa mga kasamahan ko sa DepEd. At magandang umaga rin sa ating mga guro, kawani, sa mga magulang, sa ating mga local government units na patuloy na sumusuporta sa mga programa at proyekto ng Department of Education, at higit sa lahat sa mga kasama natin sa media, magandang umaga ulit. Ngayon ay ginugunitan natin ang araw ng mga pambansang bayani. At ngayong araw, 35 days na lamang ay October 5 na. Ito ang araw ng pagbubukas ng school year 2020 to 2021 sa buong bansa. At inaasahan po natin sa October 5 ay magbubukas ang 47,188 public schools na sinasakop ng 221 schools divisions at 17 regions. We are hoping for a smooth and successful school opening on October 5. Patuloy ang ating paghanda mula sa regional offices hanggang sa antas ng ating mga paaralan. Mamaya, isasalaysay ng ating 4 na regional directors ang detalye ng kanilang paghahanda para sa pagbubukas ng klase sa October 5. Gaya ng nabanggit ko noong nakaraang linggo, August 24, patuloy na isinasagawa ang mga dry runs sa antas divisions at paaralan sa 17 regions. At patuloy din ang pagpiprint ng mga self-learning modules na kakailanganin ng mga mag-aaral sa darating na pasukan. And according to the reports submitted by the regional offices, the self-learning modules which are ready for distribution already pegs at 57%. The schools division offices operationalized the distribution of materials through collaboration with the barangays and local government unit officials. Door-to-door distribution, pick-up points in the barangay, and online distribution using different cloud platforms and external hard drives. Kagaya ng nabanggit sa aming report noong nakaraang linggo, ang mga rehiyon at division ay may kani-kaniyang pamamaraan at plano sa pag-disinfect ng mga modules upang maiwasan ang infection at COVID transmission sa hanay ng ating mga guro at mag-aaral. Nakikipag-ugnayan po ang ating field officials sa mga local government units at barangay councils upang katuwangin sa pagdidistribute and retrieval ng ating mga modules. Hinahanda na rin yung mga video lessons para sa TV broadcast and radio-based instructions. And another point, sa pangunguna ng Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Service ng Department of Education, ay patuloy po ang ating psychosocial activities sa hanay ng ating mga guro at kawani. And ito po ay ginagawa hanggang ngayon at bago magbukas ang pasukan sa October 5. Itong general picture ay mas lalamanan sa pag-uulat ng ating mga regional directors, Regional Director ng Cagayan Valley, National Capital Region, Calabarzon, at Northern Mindanao. At may isa ring guro tayo na nandito para mag-ulat kung ano ang sa antas ng paghahanda, ano ang itsura ng ating paaralan. Ito lamang po at maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat, sir. That's Yusek Revsi Escobedo for field operations. Dumako na po tayo sa mga ulat at updates mula sa ating mga regional directors. Unahin po natin si Regional Director Malcolm Garma ng National Capital Region. Sir?
Yeah, thank you very much, Director June, and good morning to all. Good morning to all the members of the Executive Committee and my fellow regional directors. And of course, I would like to say a pleasant morning to our media partners who are present this morning. So yes, we are sharing with you a brief background on the preparation for the opening of classes of DepEd NCR. So here are the highlights of these preparations. Okay, can we go on to the next slide? First, in terms of enrollment, all the schools division offices in NCR have already achieved more than 100% of their target enrollment for the school year 2021. the excess of the enrollment in most of the SDOs can be attributed to the migration of learners from private schools to the public schools. And this has placed NCR in the advanced level based on the submitted fourth readiness report as facilitated by the planning service. Next slide, please. So in terms of the actual preparation for the opening of classes, so let me share with you that majority of the SDOs in NCR, 14 out of the 16 have already conducted their simulations as early as July. These simulations were done for us to be able to learn better on how to conduct the actual delivery of the modules and the actual conduct of the distance learning. So 14 out of the 16 have conducted a division-wide simulations involving most of the schools, while 2 divisions have conducted a division level by piloting some of the schools that was involved in the simulation. In terms of the production of self-learning modules, 8 SDOs are already within the 80 to 100% of the advanced level in terms of printing and production. 4 SDOs are in the progressing stage, and this means that they are already on the 50 to 70% printed modules, and only 1 are in the catching up stage, but we assure that the remaining percentage that has to be done have already covered the first grading period of these modules. In terms of how to distribute the learner packages, all SDOs shall distribute on a 1:1, and as mentioned by USEC Rev C, that this was the production of the modules was basically in collaboration with the local government units of the National Capital Region, and the local government units of the NCR have committed to provide self-learning modules or learner packages on a 1:1 basis. Now, we have scheduled the actual distribution of the learner packages starting September 1 and would last up to September 15, because in NCR we would like to do the delivery of the learner packages as early as possible so we can prepare better for the opening of classes on October 5. And the SDOs were asked to plan the modes of distribution considering 2 scenarios that might happen in the National Capital Region. So it may be either NCR will be under ECQ or MCQ, or GCQ scenarios. In the actual delivery of the learner packages that will happen within the weeks of September 1 to 15, we might be asking some of our personnel to physically report to work, either in the division offices or in the schools, but we have prepared a guideline on how to conduct the actual physical reporting of our schools that focus on conducting a medical screening of all those who will be authorized to physically report to work. Next slide, please. For us to better monitor on the ongoing preparation, the National Capital Region has designed a regional readiness matrix that will guide the SDOs strategizing for their class organization and scheduling, establishing teacher workloads, finalizing learning and teaching platforms, and the distribution and usage of all available learner materials. So to give you a sample, the following data were derived from this matrix. Of the total number of enrollment, 47,557 classes have already been organized, which gives us an average class size of 45.01 in the elementary, 45.14 in the junior high school, and 41.30 in the senior high school. But these are, of course, subject to change due to still increasing number of enrollment in our public schools. On the teacher training, 15 of the 16 SDOs are already in the advanced level of division level training. But right now, we have an ongoing region-wide training online courses for teachers in partnership with an academic institution, Thames International, and the National Educators Academy of the Philippines. Next slide, please. So we also, based on the matrix that we have prepared, we also asked our SDOs to come up with their preparation or activities related to the opening of classes on October 5. So this includes the pre-opening of classes activities, the parents' involvement in home-based learning, and the proposed conduct of classes when school opens in October 5. So hindi ko na babasahin yung laman, but basically those will be the activities that are in line for the opening of classes on October 5. So I think this is the last slide, but we just want to emphasize that in the National Capital Region, we put premium on inclusive education, and probably in the recent showcases of simulations and dry runs, baka hindi natin masyado pang naipakita kung ano ba ang gagawin naman natin, or what modality or what platform are we going. The learning of our children or learners with special needs. So this morning, let me share with you a simulation dry run that was conducted in SDO Caloocan City that would feature the simulation dry run involving children or learners with special needs. So Director June, if we're ready with the video, so it's just a 5-minute video. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So we're going to watch po yung simulation video ng Caloocan. There you go.
It's entitled Special Delivery.
Pagbati sa ngalan ng pangpublikong serbisyo, hatid ay pag-asa at tagumpay. Magandang umaga, Pilipinas. Magandang umaga, Caloocan. Sa pagkakataong ito, ating matutunghayan ang paghahanda na isinasagawa ng SDO Caloocan para sa paghahatid ng mga learning packets. Layunin nito na matugunan ang mga pangangailangan ng ating mga mag-aaral sa special education. Bawat isa ay makakatanggap upang magsilbing gabay sa kanilang pag-aaral at pagkatuto. Halina't tunghayan natin ang proseso ng pag-print ng ating mga learning materials na gagamitin ng ating mga mag-aaral.
Siniguro ng pamunuan ng SDO Caloocan na dekalidad ang mga learning materials na gagamitin ng ating mga mag-aaral. Kabilang dito ang ating mga learners with special needs. Ito rin ay sumailalim sa komprehensibong validation process at quality assurance. Matapos ang printing ng modules, inihanda ng mga paaralan ang pagsasaayos ng mga learning packet na mayroong mga learning materials tulad ng worksheets, manipulatives, braille at mga school supplies. Upang masiguro na ang lahat ay makatatanggap ng mga learning packet, nakipag-ugnayan ang ating mga paaralan tulad ng Bagong Silang Elementary School sa kanilang komunidad, barangay officials at mga pulis. Sa tulong na pinalakas na ugnayan ng ating mga community partners ay naihatid sa bawat bahay ng ating learners with special needs ang kanilang mga learning packet. Sama-sama, tulong-tulong ang mga guro, magulang at komunidad bilang kaisa ng kagawaran ng edukasyon upang maihatid ang mga learning materials upang maipagpatuloy nila ang kanilang pag-aaral sa pamamagitan ng isang special delivery. Pag-asa sa pandemya. Bukod sa ating mga modules, ay naghahanda rin ng ating mga paaralan ng flexible online classes schedules upang masusugan ang pagkatuto ng ating mga learners with special needs.
Sabayan niyo ako mga bata. Kanang kamay, ilagay sa taas at iwagayway. Good morning, Ma'am Mercy. Good morning.
Sa pamamagitan ng online class, ay magkakaroon ng online discussion at interaction, pagtatanong at paglilinaw sa mga aralin.
Good morning. Mukhang ang sasaya niyo. Kumusta naman ang online class niyo? Okay lang. Oh, talaga okay. Very good.
Ang Division of Caloocan, Schools Division Office ay handang-handa na para sa pasukan at ito ay sa ilalim ng tinatawag natin the new normal of education. Marami pong challenges pero alam namin na dahil tulong-tulong at kami man dito sa SDO ay nagbabayanihan para sa pagbubukas ng school year 2020-2021, alam namin na kami ay handang-handa para sa lahat ng mga mag-aaral ng lungsod ng Caloocan.
Ako din po nagpapasalamat sa ating mayor, kay Papa Malapitan, na nagbigay po ng tulong para po sa mga estudyante, katulad po ng anak ko, na kahit po ngayon nasa na po tayo ng pandemya, salamat po sa SDO Caloocan at sa SDO. In spite ng pandemic sa ating COVID na nangyayari ngayon, maraming salamat po at patuloy pa rin po natin ang pag-aaral ng kanyang mga bata.
Tunay ngang handang-handa na ang SDO Caloocan sa darating na pasukan. Pati mga mag-aaral na may iba't ibang apat na mag-aaral sa pag-asa. Huwag ng bata maiiwan dahil tao ang una, edukasyon ang una. Ang
Okay. Thank you, Director June. And again, would like to say thank you to all our stakeholders, especially our local government units, for really helping us with the preparation for the opening of classes. Again, good morning to all. Thank you.
Maraming salamat. That's Regional Director Malcolm Garma po ng National Capital Region. Ang susunod po na magbibigay ng kanyang updates at report ay si RD Willie Cabral ng Calabarzon. Sir, go ahead. Good morning po.
Good morning po. Nais ko pong bumati ng isang magandang umaga sa lahat ng ating mga bisita ngayong araw. At nihahanda po natin ngayon ang ating pagbibigay ng report para sa ating paghahanda sa taong panuruan 2020-2021. Sa Region 4A po ay nais nating ibahagi kung ano yung mga naging kahandaan at sa atin pong isinumite na contextualized basic education learning continuity plan na naka-angkla sa kung ano yung pinagbatayan galing sa central office. Sa pahina po, page 66 po ng ating Pivot 4A LCP, binanggit po natin na magkakaroon talaga ng pagbabago sa usual business process to alternative arrangement of service delivery. At tiningnan po natin ang ating mga opisina at mga eskwelahan bilang learning hubs at operation center. At ang ating pag-aaral ay hindi magaganap sa ating nakasanayan na standard na lugar. At binigyan natin ng pansin ang ating mga opisyal, katulad po ngayong araw na nagbibigay tayo ng serbisyo 24/7 at transactional po ang lahat ng paghawak natin ng mga bisita, mga kliyente sa mga opisina upang higit na mapagtuunan ang ating pag-observe ng health standards and protocol. Tiningnan din natin na maaring lumaki ang ating mga pangangailangan sa mga gugulin, partikular sa technical support, sa equipment at IT infrastructure, katulad na din ng professional development and reproduction of learning kits, whether print or digital copies. At nakita natin na posible rin na mas maraming desisyon ang maganap sa mga level of governance na mas malapit sa mga bata. At ayon sa pagtataya natin sa ating kahandaan, tiningnan po natin yung 9 na elemento na siyang magsasabi sa akin kung gaano kahanda ang mga paaralan at ang mga opisina sa pagpapatuloy ng edukasyon. So makita po natin dito yung regional contextualization, ang ating enrollment, ang ating curriculum. Ang atin pong enrollment ay patuloy na tumataas at sa kasalukuyan meron na itong bilang na mahigit na 3 milyon. At meron tayong mga inihanda na mga curriculum guides sa iba't ibang learning modality at ating inihanda yung ating learning resources sa bawat modality kung saan ang Region 4A ay nasa advanced level na ng paghahanda maging ang mga paaralan. Ang atin pong assessment o pagtataya ng mga kasanayan at kaalaman ng ating mga estudyante ay sabay din po nating inihanda sa ating curriculum at patuloy ang pagsasanay ng ating mga guro. Minabuti natin na ang ating resource mobilization na nakatuon sa human, finance, and partnership ay mabigyan din po ng kaukulang pansin. At nakakatuwa na lahat ng mga stakeholders ay patuloy na nagbibigay ng suporta sa ating paghahanda para sa taong ito. Ang health standards hindi po natin nakalimutan at nagkaroon po tayo ng contingency plan sa ating COVID-19 pandemic. Ating kagawaran ay maisa katuparan hanggang sa pinakamababang antas ng pamamahala. So kung titingnan po natin, ito po yung naging proseso ng aming paghahanda at ito po ay naging giya ng ating mga paaralan kung paano nila ihahanda ang kanilang contextualized learning continuity plan at papaano nila masisigurado na ang bawat isang bata ay mabibigyan ng sapat na edukasyon sa panahon ng pandemya. At kung paano nila ihahanda ang kanilang contextualized learning continuity plan. Nais po natin ipakita dito ang kahandaan partikular ng isang paaralan sa sekundarya sa lungsod ng Imos. Ito po yung Imos National High School. At makikita po natin na sinunod nila ang ating proseso, yung ating flowcharts ng paghahanda. Ang paaralan pong ito ay meron ng bilang ng mga batang naka-enroll na 10,898 at sa bilang pong ito, mapapansin po natin na ang lahat ng mga mag-aaral na nakatala sa grade 7 hanggang grade 10, kabilang na yung mga non-graded at ALS, ay lumangkas na po ng 100% kung ang pagbabatayan ay yung kanilang enrollment ng nagdaang taon. So we have 114 to the high of 128% na bilang ng enrollment kumpara sa nagdaang taon. Paano nga ba binigyan ng pagpapahalaga ang mga information na nakuha natin sa Learner Enrollment and Survey Form na ginamit sa pagpapatala? So ginamit po base doon sa LES inputs, Meron po tayong mga estudyante na pumili ng online, modular at blended learning at ito po ay nahahati sa mga bilang na ito. Subalit paano na dinesisyonan ng paaralan ang pagpili ng tamang learning modality o yung tinatawag nating modality of best fit na makakatugon sa pangangailangan ng mga bata? Sinunod po natin ang proseso, hinanap kung ilan po yung mga gadgets, ilan ang merong internet connectivity, at sino ang may mga family and community instructional support. At lumabas po dito na meron tayong mga emerging learning modality na online at modular distance learning. Subalit hindi po yan dyan natapos, dumaan pa po ito sa isang proseso upang desisyonan ano ba yung angkop na modality para sa lahat. At sa bandang huli, sinabi nila na kailangan tayong merong module, may printed and digital copy, and at the same time, online. Upang desisyonan ano ba yung angkop na hinanap din po natin ang kanilang mga guro at tiningnan ilan ba ang bilang ng mga kakailanganing guro base sa enrollment, ilang mga sections at dapat ma-organize at ano ang klase ng modality sa bawat sections na to. Gumamit po tayo ng mga formula at binigyan ng classification ang role ng mga teachers na maaaring online, home-based teacher, pwede siyang online, school-based at meron din pong community learning facilitator. At yan po ay hinati sa iba't ibang mga role classifications. Nagkaroon din po ng classroom or class and teacher programming at makikita po natin dito kung papaanong ang pasilidad at mga kagamitan ng paaralan ay ginawang responsive dun sa pangangailangan ng bilang ng mga bata. At makikita po natin ang kanilang schedule of classes na merong morning and afternoon session. Ng paaralan ay nagkaroon din po ng mga stakeholders engagement at ginamit po dito ang pag-observe ng contingency plan for COVID-19 pandemic. At ang nakakatuwa po rito, maging ang ating mga stakeholders, pinuno ng pamahalaang lungsod, ang mga riders, ang iba pang mga stakeholders ay naging bahagi po at nagbigay ng kanilang tulong kung paano ito may sagawa. At pagkatapos po nito, ginawa nila yung implementation dry run at makikita po natin dito na hybrid ang kanilang preparation sapagkat ang kanilang mga pamamaraan ay online and modular distance learning, kung saan ang atin pong eskwelahan ay ginawa na isang virtual education studios. Makikita po natin dito ang isang classroom na convert into sort of parang isang BPO at nandito po nagre-report yung mga teacher at dito po nila kinakandak yung kanilang mga leksyon. Iba't ibang klase po yan. Gumagamit po sila ng screen at LED TV para mas maibahagi yung kanilang mga lessons. Sa bandang ito, makikita po natin ang isa ring parang studio na kung saan ang pagtatalakay at discussion ay po pwedeng mangyaring isang talk show para magkaroon naman ng ibang atmosphere ang pag-aaral ng mga bata. So generally, ang paaralan pong ito ay merong hybrid learning modality. Ngunit paano po ba nangyari ito? Dahil po ito sa pakikipagtulungan ng ating division office sa ating LGU at nung Biyernes lamang po ay atin pong binisita ang paaralang ito at nakita natin na kung papaano nangyari ang paghahandang katulad nito. Ang isa sa programa dito ay yung Bida I-Connect Mo at ito po ay sa tulong ng Converge IT Solutions na kung saan ang atin pong mga paaralan ay nilagyan ng libreng fiber optic na koneksyon at ginawa pong mga virtual education studios ang mga paaralan at ang atin pong mga mag-aaral ay pinalagyan din po ng libreng koneksyon. Ito po ay walang babayaran ang mga bata. So klaro at ang atin pong paniniwala ay patuloy po ang paghahanda at magiging matagumpay ang school year 2020-2021 sapagkat meron po tayong mga LGU and stakeholders na handang tumulong para sa ating pagpapatuloy ng edukasyon. Isa sa pinakamagandang experience dito ay ang inisyatiba ng eskwela kooperatiba na kung saan ginamit po ang isang kooperatiba ng mga mag-aaral na meron ng membership na 47,000 at may base capital na 20 million upang yung ilan sa mga bata na wala pang gadget ay mapaluwagan na mabigyan ng kanilang gadget sa pag-aaral. Subalit, hindi po magiging problema din yan sapagkat hybrid sila, gumagamit sila ng online, modular, both printed and online. At meron din po dito na ilang radyo na merong USB slot, kaya po sinabi nating hybrid sapagkat kung ano po yung pangangailangan ay naibigay ng ating paaralan. So palagay ko po ito lang yung natitira ng slides. So maraming salamat po sa lahat at yan po ang paghahanda na ginawa ng Region 4A Calabarzon para sa October 5 opening of classes. Thank you very much, Director June. Ito lang yung natitira ng slides. So maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat, sir. That's Regional Director Wilfredo Cabral ng Calabarzon. Maybe we also acknowledge the presence of our Undersecretary for Curriculum and Instruction, si Yusek Estado San Antonio, who's with us right now, na kamakailan lamang ay pinarangalan ng Gawad Career Executive Service Presidential Award. So, good morning, sir. Kasama rin po natin ang isang teacher mula sa Calabarzon, si Ma'am Rowen Ursulino ng Alpat Island National High School. Ma'am, so good morning, Ma'am Rowen. Kasama rin po natin mula sa Calabarzon.
Yes po, sir.
Ayun, so kumusta naman po ang paghahanda ninyo dyan sa Alabat Island po? Go ahead, ma'am.
So far, sir, dito po sa Alabat Island National High School, kasalukuyan na po kaming nasa rurok ng aming ginagawang paghahanda para sa pagbubukas ng school year 2020-2021. So dito po gagamitin namin ang modular distance learning kung saan ang aming paaralan ay makakatulong para ipagpatuloy ng mga mag-aaral ang kanilang pag-aaral. Sa ngayon po, mayroon na po kaming 95% na printed modules or self-learning modules. Ito po ay sa tulong ng aming division office kung saan sila po ang sumagot ng modules para sa senior high school at para naman po sa junior high school, nag-commit po ng 30% MOOE ang aming paaralan, both for senior high school and junior high school. Dumagsa rin po ang tulong mula sa aming mga minamahal na stakeholders. Sila po ay yung mga dati na naming kaagapay mula pa noong mga nakalipas na taon. Sa nakita nilang paghahanda ng paaralan, sila po ay naingganyong magbigay kung ano man ang kanilang may tutulong para sa ating mga mag-aaral. Sila po ay yung mga dati na naming kaagapay. Sa mga susunod na quarters naman po, hindi na po kami nangangamba na walang modules na darating sapagkat kung ano man ang kanilang ang paaralan, ang division office, sa tulong ng regional office and central office ay pagtutulong-tulungan upang mapalimbag ang mga modules sa darating na mga quarters. Nakakatuwa po na sa mga nakalipas na araw ay nakita namin ang suporta ng LGU at mga barangay kung saan sila po ay lumagda sa Memorandum of Agreement upang matulungan ang aming paaralan sa pagdadala. Sila po mismo ay magpapagamit ng kanilang triambulance upang mahakot ang mga modules dadalhin sa kanilang mga lokasyon. Ang mga magulang po ng aming mga mag-aaral ay naandun din ang suporta. Ang iba ay nais sila ang kumuha ng kanilang modules para sa kanilang mga anak upang masiguro na makakarating sa kanilang mga anak ang mga modules na ito. Sa mga kaguruan naman po, lalo't higit dito sa aming paaralan, ang aming paghahanda ng mga lesson exemplars mula sa ibinigay na modules at pagsasagawa pa ng ibang mga worksheets upang maiangkop sa iba't ibang klase ng aming mga mag-aaral. Sa ngayon po, hindi namin nababatid pa kung anong uri pa ng mga mag-aaral ang mapapapunta sa aming sections. Subalit, ngayon pa lamang inihahanda na namin ang iba't ibang set ng mga aralin upang mabigyan lahat sila ng angkop na karunungan para ngayong school year 2020-2021. May mga magulang din po kami na nangako sa amin ng mga guro na sila ay tutulong para ang kanilang mga anak ay magabayan. So lahat po kami ay sama-sama at tulong-tulong sa pamamagitan ng pagbibigay namin ng mga cellphone numbers ng mga kaguruan upang magkaroon ng madaling komunikasyon mula sa mga magulang at mga mag-aaral upang ang ating school year 2020-2021 ay maging makabuluhan. Nangako rin po ang aming LGU na bibigyan ng ham radio para mas mapabilis pa ang komunikasyon. Sa lahat po ng paghahanda na aming ginagawa, hindi po namin nakakalimutan ang health protocols sa aming mga kaguruan upang kami ay maligtas, sa aming mga magulang, sa aming mga mag-aaral. Lagi po naming ipinapalaala ang pagsunod sa health protocols. At ganun din po kaagapay namin ang MIATF at ang aming RHU at ang ilan pang ahensya ng pamahalang lokal ng aming bayan. So hindi po maiwasan ang mga challenges dito sa aming bayan. Living in an island is already a challenge. Kami po ay nasa isang isla at ito po ay isang malaki ng challenge para sa amin. Ang aming lokasyon, bagamat kami ay nabibilang sa 5th municipality, ay hindi po kami nahuhuli sa mga paghanda na kinakailangan para sa susunod na taong pampaaralan. So ang ilan po sa aming mga agam-agam para sa school year 2020-2021 ay ang percentage of learning. Ano kaya ang percentage of learning ng aming mga mag-aaral? We are not sure na sila nga ba ang sumagot sa mga activity sheets na aming ipinadala. So yun po ay aming gagawa ng paraan upang malaman namin kung ano pa yung pangangailangan nila at nang sila po ay masuportahan pa. Sa iba't ibang klase ng mga bata sa ngayon, so kailangan namin na paghandaan talaga ng iba't ibang activities upang hindi po sila maumay. Ganon din po ang ilan sa ating mga magulangin ay nagsasabi na hindi nila kayang turuan ng kanilang mga anak. Nakahanda naman po ang paaralan at ang barangay at ang komunidad para sa mga para-teachers na tutulong po sa kanilang mga anak sa ganitong sitwasyon. So ang communication between teachers, parents, and students due to distance and location, yun po ang isang nagiging sagabal para sa amin. Subalit, hindi po mawawala ng saysay ang lahat sapagkat kung wala man signal at di namin maabot ng cellphone ang mga kabataan, kami po mismo ang pupunta para mag-home visit sa kanila. At least may araw kami na itatalaga sa looban ng isang linggo na mabisita man lamang ang kaganapan ng aming mga learners. So sa lahat po ng aming paghahanda na ginagawa, masasabi ko po na ang aming paaralan, ang Alabat Island National High School, ay handang-handa na para sa school year 2020-2021. Bagamat walang mga mag-aaral na pupunta sa aming paaralan, hindi po namin pinababayaan ang aming mga silid-aralan. Ito inaayos pa rin namin na parang katulad pa rin ng dati upang sa kanilang pagbabalik ay maramdaman nila na sila ay para dito sa paaralang ito. So nakakatuwa po na ang mga magulangin, bagamat hindi pa nagsisimula ang pasukan, ay sila po ay eager at nagtatanong kung ano ang mga kailangan nilang ihanda. Kung ano ang kailangan ihanda ng kanilang mga anak. So ramdam ko po bilang isang guro na ang kagustuhan ng mga mag-aaral na makapasok na at may pagpatuloy na ang kanilang pag-aaral ay hanggang doon na lamang. Sa ngayon po, ay may mga group chat na kaming binuo para sa aming mga sections at doon ay nasasalamin ko sa kanila na miss na nila ang pagpunta sa paaralan. So sila po ay palaging nagtatanong sa mga guro at bilang amin namang suporta sa kanila, sabi namin kung nais nilang manghiram ng libro, ng mga dating libro po, ay willing po ang paaralan na ibigay sa kanilang mga magulang ang kanilang mga aklat upang hindi masayang po ang kanilang ang oras na dumaraan. So mula po sa Alabat Island National High School, masasabi ko pong handa na kami para sa school year 2020-2021. Salamat po.
Ayun, maraming salamat Ma'am Rowan Ursulino mula sa Alabat Island School. Sa Quezon po yan, sa Calabarzon, kay Regional Director Willie Cabral. Maraming salamat ma'am at saludo po kami sa inyong lahat, sa ating mga teacher frontliners. Ang susunod po na magbibigay ng kanyang report ay of course ang ating Regional Director ng Region 10, si RD Arturo Bayocot. Sir? Sir, nakamute po ata kayo.
Mayong buntag, Director John, and all the USECs and ASECs. I've seen Director USEC Ancivilla and the rest of the team. Mayong buntag, DepEd, and on behalf of Northern Mindanao Region 10, which comprises the provinces of Bukidnon, Camiguin, Lanao del Norte, Misamis Occidental, Misamis Oriental, and the cities of Valencia, Balay-Balay, Ingoog, Iligan, Osamis, Oroqueta, Tangub, El Salvador, and Cagayan de Oro City. I would like to present to you very briefly the highlights of our operations, dry runs or simulations, and the continuous preparations for the opening of classes for school year 2020-2021. Napapaloob po ang lahat ng mga ito sa aming learning continuity plans at sa pagsusulong ng handang isip, handa bukas. Next slide, please. Very briefly, we will share the things that we have done and all those that we continue to do in relation to our simulation of classes delivered in distance learning. We also would like to share to you bits and pieces of the information and orientation that we do and that we did for our parents, the community on their roles to their children's education, our engagement with media partners to help in our information, education, and communication advocacy, the development and review of our self-learning modules, the school's division's reproduction of the modules, and our monitoring. We also would like to share to you the production of our learning episodes for both TV and radio instruction, the SLM's conversion to digital formats for our offline learning. We also share to you how our classes are being organized, the continuous information dissemination, capability building for teachers and school leaders, and as well the monitoring and supervision that we do, and in the filling up of new items and natural vacancies amidst this health crisis that hit the country and the world. Last week of July and the first week of August, all the 14 schools divisions in the region conducted their dry runs or simulation of classes that featured distance learning delivery modality to the 4 to 10 identified schools in each of the city and provincial divisions. They featured and showcased their planning, parents' orientation, briefing of teachers, the packaging of SLMs, distribution and retrieval of these modules, the home visits that they conducted, feedback and reports consolidation and analysis, And of course, the monitoring and supervision that's done in the different layers from the regional division up to the district levels. The different layers of parents' orientation on the roles of the new learning landscapes were also done. These are done in different approaches, such as virtual orientations. We also capitalize on the radio and TV programs that we have initially partnered, or even small group orientation face-to-face, but in strict adherence to the required public health standards. In Region 10, we would like to share to you some of the photos in this presentation that captured our parents' orientation in the different layers. We also would like to underscore the bayanihan culture among Filipinos, which is very evident in Region 10. But we continue to do it even better to serve our clients by closing the gaps between the actual against the desired level of readiness, even if at the moment we say we already are ready. What's beautiful about the collaboration partnership that we did in the region, no less than the Regional Development Council, spearheaded the convention of the media partners virtual, with the presence of line agencies like NTC, DICT, for the possible radio and TV-based instruction that will be partnered for free among the media partners we have. And in that forum, we're very happy that we're able to partner 14 TV stations, local, and 39 radio stations for our radio-based instruction. All these are for free. Another activity that we did to perfect our readiness is on the development, the review, and the quality assurance of the locally developed self-learning modules that the region have been doing to augment the efforts of the National DepEd. And from there, we did monitoring on the reproduction of these modules that are done in the different divisions of the region. We also continue to work on the conversion of self-learning modules into radio and TV learning episodes, realizing that we already have 14 TV partners and 39 radio station partners for our radio and TV-based instruction. And we also did conversion of modules into digital and interactive formats, specifically to be used by our offline learning delivery modality. And then we have organized the classes, which actually featured the different learning delivery modalities. So classes have been organized according to online, offline, modular approach, radio and TV, or even the blended distance learning, which is a combination of 3 or more distance learning delivery modalities. And then there's the continuous information, education, and communications advocacy, of which the regional office has a regular program called Bigaten DepEd, which is a platform to really communicate our readiness, our preparations, and updates on the Department of Education Region 10. And this is being backed up by the different local radio and TV programs at the city and provincial division levels. The partnership with Talakayan, with the Philippine Information Agency, is a very big effort of the region that continues to deliver our updates in terms of the opening of school readiness. We continue to capacitate our teachers and school leaders with so many webinars that have already been conducted and participated by teachers and school leaders, sponsored by the divisions that our participants were able to join. These are just some of the list of those webinars that I am referring to. And the division and the divisions in the region continue to monitor and supervise the preparation of classes in all aspects. And then at the school readiness level, we're looking at how classes are being organized for dry run and for the actual opening on October 5. We take a look at the class size and even the sectioning, which has the prominent feature of sectioning the children according to residences, because we realize that our students who will be studying from home really need support system. and only when they can find their classmates within the locality or within the neighborhood, that will even give them better confidence to learn through distance learning. The assignment of teachers have also been factored in, like if they have been teachers for a long time in grade 5 or this particular subject, we also try to consider that, considering that mastery in terms of teaching delivery is already assured. But we also feature some strategies in terms of class sectioning or assignment of teachers, where grade 1 teachers before are now assigned to grade 2 to monitor and exactly follow through the former grade 1 students who were under them and now will still be under them for grade 2. So that's just part of the initiatives that are done at the school level. The preparation of learning packages, the class program, which is very essential because our students would apparently still be guided with a class program, studying from home, that there's really time to wake up, time to eat breakfast, time to take a bath, time to attend classes, even if these are just done at the respective homes. We have external stakeholders orientation, health and safety measures against COVID-19, and we also try to take a look at the sources of funds that were used during the dry run implementation. Right at the implementation, we try to take a look at the learning delivery modality effectiveness and the learning plan for the week that are being attached to the modules as delivered, the distribution and retrieval system, class monitoring, and we take a look at school readiness and implementation. The continuous health education and the management of emerging infectious diseases are still part of the deliverables of the Department of Education schools, time after time. And we did not stop our filling up of items, realizing that there are natural vacancies and even to those new items. We continue to recruit, select, and hire to augment our manpower that are already in place. And then we make the communication lines open vertically or horizontally as we continue to engage central, region, division, and district offices, and even the schools to make sure that updates are being delivered. And we say that at the moment, Region 10 would like to underscore bayanihan culture among Filipinos, which is very evident. That brought to a good level of readiness of Northern Mindanao. But we continue to do it even better to serve our clients by making sure that we are able to close the gap, especially on resources between the actual and against the desired level of readiness. And at the moment, to put all what I have shared in a context, may I invite you to watch a very short video of Azamis City Central School dry run or simulation of classes featuring distance learning. Via, can you please share our video now? Thank you very much.
Ang Ozamis City Central School matawag na ikaduhang panimalay sa mga kabataan. Diin sila malipayon nga nagkat-on para makabot ang ilang mga tinguha ug pangandoy. Ug sa dihang
nakapasok na po sa bansa ang 2019 novel coronavirus o nCoV.
ang pagdula, kalipay, bahakhak, ug pangandoy sama sa adlaw, takulahaw, misalok. Unsaon na lang ang mga kabataan.
The children cannot wait. Education cannot wait.
Sa pag-abot sa pandemya, nagkadaiyang problema kalambigit sa edukasyon ang misulpot sa hunahuna sa kadausa.
Ganahan ng takuba na ay online discussion gawa sa module na gamiton.
Unta, naay mo anhedari, nga mo follow up sa akong anak, nga naay mo guide nga teacher.
Okay ra nako ang module kay wala man gid mi internet. Hatagan lang po doon tami og videos sa mga leksyon.
Ang Ozamis City Central School andam motubag sa panginahanglanon.
Atong paningkamutan og tambayayungan nga masolusyonan ang inyong problema pinaagi sa lahi-lahi nga learning modalities.
Ang Division of Ozami City naningkamot ng edukasyon mapadayon. Giandam ang tulunghaan pinaagi sa pagpanghinlo ug pag-disinfect sa tanang dapit niini. Pagbutang sa COVID-19 safety signages ug pagpatuman sa precautionary measures, paghimo ug pagpangandam sa mga modules ug pag-imprinta niini.
Ania kita karon nag-cover sa kasamtangang gipahigayon nga orientation sa mga ginikanan sa Grade 5 sa Ozami City Central School mahitungod sa delivery sa nagkalahi-lahi nga learning modalities.
To really check into our preparations because we want our learners to continue learning. Dili ta gusto nga ma-vacuum or magka-gap.
Naagyod ang LGU always supporting.
Hulyo 27, 2020. Gipahigayon ang simulation o dry run sa blended distance learning sa Ozami City Central School. Gisugdan kini sa hamubo nga programa nga gitambungan sa Schools Division Superintendent Jean G. Veloso, Assistant Schools Division Superintendent ODS Bores ug anakleta gakasan Chief sa Curriculum Implementation Division inubanan sa mga supervisors ug school heads gikan sa lahi-lahi na eskwelahan. Sa simulation, gisiguro nga mapatuman ang mga precautionary measures sama sa designated entrance ug exit gates. Paghugas, pagtunob sa foot bath, pagkuha sa temperatura ug pangalkohol. Gisunod ang social distancing samtang gapaabot sa ilang schedule. Gisugdan ang pag-distribute sa mga modules kada grupo sa gitakda nga oras. Tagsa-tagsang midawat ang kada ginikanan o gi-double check ang naisulod na materyales sa maong extended plastic envelope. Makita ang kalipay sa mga kabataan sa pagdawat sa ilang learning package. Gisugdan gidayon ang klase base sa class program na gipreparar sa District of Division Supervisors. Sa Group A, gihimo ang modular with online classes.
Good morning, class! Today, we will start with English subject. Do you have your modules with you?
Sa Group B, mao ang modular inubanan sa digital supplementary videos nga anaa sa flash drive. Ang Group C, mao ang paggamit sa module ug pagpaminaw sa leksyon sa radyo.
Ang atong matabang sa barangay kung ang mga estudyante kung dili sila makakuha sa ilang mga module sa atong barangay sa eskwela sa atong Ozami City Central School, andam kami o ato ang hatagan o mga sakop sa itong barangay aron mao'y mo-assist sa ato ang mga estudyante nga nagsakop diri sa atong barangay Tinago.
Ang grade 5 teachers kanunay na nag-follow up sa ilang mga estudyante sa adlaw-adlaw na buluhaton pinaagi sa pagtawag ug home visitation. Kung aduna usab mga pangutana o kalibog, ang mga ginikanan mutawag lamang sa mga magtutudlo. Gawas sa OCCS school heads, aduna usab ang district o mga division supervisors nga miduaw sa eskwelahan para ma-monitor ang gipahigayon na klase. Isip pag-evaluate sa issues and concerns sa klase ni anang adlaw, naay regular meeting na gipahigayon ang principal. Ang usa sa mga school head kontento ug malipayon sa naitabo nga simulation.
So akong masulti nga hapsay nindot o matuman gyud nato ang pag-implementar sa atong blended modular distance learning.
Isip ginikanan, unsa man imong ikasulti sa programa sa DepEd na mapadayon ang edukasyon sa mga kabataan?
Mapasalamaton kay ko sa Department of Education, sa Division of Ozami City ug ilabi na sa Ozami City Central School diin diha ng tungha akong mga anak nga mapadayon ang ilahang pagskwela taliwala aning pandemic. Salamat gyud kaayo.
Base sa orientation sa mga ginikanan, may tungod sa simulation o dry run. Naisgutan na ang module iuli sa adlong Biyernes sa gitakdang oras sa ilang grupo. Ang Group A, naglangkob sa mga ginikanan nga naay internet o kompleto gadget. Mag-uli sa module sa alas 3 hangtod sa alas 3:30 sa hapon. Ingon man sa Group B, nga grupo sa mga ginikanan nga adunay gadget apan walay igong koneksyon. Nga iuli ang module sa alas 3:30 hangtod sa alas 4 sa hapon, apil na ni ini ang flash drive. Usab ay katulong grupo sa alas 4 hangtod sa alas 4:30 sa hapon, ang pag-uli sa module, lakip na niini ang radyo. Mao kini ang mga ginikanan nga walay koneksyon o internet sa balay. Kini si Jupiter Pinta, reporting.
Madasigon na akong giawhag ang tanang mga ginikanan, labi na sa ginikanan sa Osamis City Central School nga ang atong mga kabataan ato yung suportahan sa pagpadayon sa edukasyon uban sa mga magtutudlo o mga ginikanan nga mapadayon gayud ang edukasyon sa atong mga bata.
Para sa bata, para sa bayan. Sulong iyong kandidat. Ang programa ng ating ahensya, ang Department of Education.
Daghang salamat, Director June.
Ayun. That's maraming salamat, RD. That's Regional Director Arturo Bayocot po. Dun sa updates tungkol sa paghahanda ng Region 10, Northern Mindanao, para sa opening of classes. And of course, joining us right now is the mother of the Department of Education, Secretary Leonor Magdolis-Briones. Good morning, ma'am. May we also ask for your message and update po to the thousands of viewers who are monitoring our live stream today. Ma'am?
Good morning, magandang umaga sa lahat. May buntag kaninyong tanan. Maayo gadi nga aga sa tanan nga mga bisdak sa Visayas kag sa Mindanao and the rest also of the country. We are very happy and we are very pleased to give you updates on the progress of our preparations for the opening of the school year for 2020. Talagang handang-handa na. We thought that we would bring and share with you what our regional directors and what is happening also in the various parts of the country in terms of preparation. Dahil sinabi na natin na walang one size fits all. Dahil iba't iba naman ang situation bawat region. Makikita natin sa ating mga dry runs na mayroon tayong dry run para sa online platform, may dry run sa mayroong mga gadgets pero mahina ang koneksyon, mayroong para sa radyo, mayroong para sa telebisyon, at saka yung pag-deliver ng modules. At saka nakikita natin na ito ay ginagawa sa major languages sa region sa ating bansa. Kami naman at the policy level, marami ding pangyayari. Siguro aware kayo na nagbigay ng 2 major na direktiba ang presidente during the past week kung saan talagang na-mention niya specifically ang Department of Health. Una, itong sinasabi niya na kailangang gagawa ng mga hakbang ang Department of Education para ma-enhance ang mental health, ang psychosocial preparedness ng ating mga kabataan at mga teachers dahil nga sa epekto nitong ating napaka-dangerous at napaka-devastating na pandemic. Ang pangalawa niyang direktiba ay kaakibat sa kanyang budget message last Tuesday na sumite na ng presidente ang 2021 budget proposal sa Kongreso at meron na namang specific instruction doon sa Department of Education. Ito yung sinasabi niya na kailangan bigyan ng diin ang sinasabi niyang health literacy para ang ating lipunan, ang learners natin, ang lahat ng mamamayan ay handa sa mga nahaharap sa danger sa health at saka kailangan ma-maintain ang wellness sa ating learners at saka sa ating teachers at lahat na mamamayan. So dalawa itong major directives. Last week, maalaala ninyo na si Director Ronnie Co ng ating Department of Education nagbigay ng briefing kung anong mga hakbang ang ginawa ng departamento para ma-enhance ang psychosocial health ng ating mga bata at staff. At siguro tayo na sa lahat sa ating lipunan, naging kaugalian na kasi ng Department of Education tuwing may sakuna, mayroong threat, mayroong danger, ay nagbibigay tayo ng psychosocial orientation at adjustments para sa ating mga bata at mga teachers. Ginawa natin yan sa Taal, ginawa natin yan sa Marawi, sa Taal Volcano. So hindi naman bago yung practice natin na talagang tinutulungan natin ang ating learners at teachers para ma-deal nila, para hawakan nila itong mga threats sa kanilang well-being at saka sa kanilang peace of mind. May nagsasabi na nababahala sila dahil tumataas daw ang rate ng suicide sa mga bata at saka sa mga adults. Kaya nagbigay ng instruction ang presidente. Sa totoo lamang, on record sa amin na 2 kaso ng bata na sinasabi nila na nawala ng buhay at saka ito ay tinitingnan natin kung ano ang dahilan kung saan ito nanggagaling. Pero kung isipan din natin, ang ating enrollment ngayon, ating mga learners, umabot na ng 23.9 million, halos 24 million na ang learners natin na nag-register. Every day, mayroon tayong dagdag dahil may mga late enrollees. Now, ito ay napaka-impressive na accomplishment dahil this is already 86% compared to last year's enrollment. Lahat na ito, kalahat-lahatan. Pero sa public sector, umabot na tayo ng 97.33% ng ating mga learners last year. Sa alternative learning systems, halos kalahati na ng dati nating nag-enroll sa ALS or alternative learning systems ay bumabalik na. Makakatulong sigurado ang pagbukas ng ekonomiya, ang pagbalik ng mga trabaho para yung mga workers, kasi hindi lang naman bata ang nag-enroll sa ALS, pati adults nag-enroll naman sa ALS. Na ngayong may mga trabaho na ang mga workers natin, lalo na OFWs, tataas din yung ating enrollment dito. Ganon din sa private sector. Halos 43% ng dating mga learners ay naka-enroll na at medyo tumigil na yung sinasabi nating migration ng mga private students, learners sa ating public schools na umabot ng 398,000. So paganda ng paganda yung ating mga numero dahil nga siguro sa pagbukas ng ating ekonomiya at siguro dahil nakikita ng publiko, ng mga magulang. If you think 23.9 million learners nag-enroll. That's about 46 million ka parents o mga guardians na naniniwala sa sistema ng edukasyon nila ng mga bata at saka tinitingnan nila ang kahalagaan ng edukasyon. So tungkol sa mental health na sinasabi ng presidente, nandyan na yung mga programa natin. Actually, inuumpisa namin mga 2 buwan na ito. Series ito ng mga psychosocial interventions. Hindi lamang yung mga bata ang hinahanda natin, kundi ang mga teachers, ang ating mga staff, at ating mga executives. So may halos araw-araw may schedule tayo na webinar para sa iba't ibang grupo ng mga citizens na naghaharap ng mga siguro masasabi nating psychosocial issues dahil nga sa threat ng pandemic na ito. Kasi talaga naman nakakatakot, ang hirap-hirap magplano, mag-predict kung anong mangyayari. Ang hirap-hirap isipin kung mawalan ka ba ng trabaho o nawalan ka na ng trabaho, kailan babalik ang trabaho. Mahirap ding isipin kung ano kaya ang mahawa ba ako, saan kaya ako pupunta. Ang dami-daming mga unknowns ngayon. And so ito ay challenge sa atin na pagharap nitong mga pagbabago na ito. Kaya built-in talaga sa atin itong ating mga psychosocial interventions para hindi naman lalala, para magkaroon naman ng confidence ang ating kabataan, ang learners at ang ating teachers na makayanan natin kung tayo ay magkaisa. Yung sinasabi natin na we heal as one. Nag-imbita tayo ng mga eksperto sa mga bagay na ito na tumutulong sa atin paggawa ng ating mga programs at saka ng counseling. Ngayon, ang pangalawang mandato ng President, sinabi niya at saka specifically na-mention niya talaga ang Department of Education sa kanyang budget message na sinasabi niya na kailangan i-enhance ang health literacy sa ating kabataan, sa ating teachers at saka sa mga citizens dahil nga napaka dangerous din ang mga health threats na hinaharap din natin ngayon. Bago pag-umpisa ang Duterte administration, sinabi na ni Presidente yan na kailangan i-enhance natin ang ating health curriculum. Ang health kasi ng ating kabataan at saka teachers sa ating lahat ay konektado sa nutrition, konektado sa mga psychosocial factors, konektado sa environment. So ito ay integrated mismo sa curriculum. So even wala pa si COVID, wala pa si pandemic dahil marami naman tayong nahaharap na iba't ibang klaseng mga sakit na nakaka-threaten. Nandyan ang flu, nandyan ang SARS, nandyan ang AIDS, nandyan yung mga ordinaryong sakit. Kaya talagang built-in sa curriculum din yan. Binago natin, lalong na-strengthen ang curriculum natin ngayon sa health. Kaya mahalagang bahagi ang health literacy. Ang ibig kong sabihin, itong 2 mandato ng Presidente, ginagawa na ng Department of Education. Una, yung sa mental health, psychosocial interventions. Wala pa si COVID, ginagawa na yan dahil inutos na niya yan bago pa siya nag-umpisa sa kanyang term. At saka yung health literacy, may bago tayong curriculum at naka-embed yan sa iba't ibang mga subjects ng ating mga bata from K to 12. Pati ang teachers, atin din silang riniremind na wag silang magpabaya sa sarili nila. Kasi konektado ang health sa nutrition, yung sinasabi ko nga, psychosocial well-being, sa peace of mind, sa environment, and even issues of gender and reproductive health. Also, climate change. Yan lahat ay konektado, kaya ang ating curriculum ay buo. So we'd like to assure everyone that we are we have been implementing the latest mandates of the President. Panghuli naman na balitang i-share ko sa ating mga nakikinig at nagmamanman sa edukasyon, ay this week mag-umpisa na ang defense. I will not call it defense. Mag-umpisa na ang sharing ng balita tungkol sa ating 2021 budget. So, nagsubmit na ang President ng kanyang budget message at magkaroon ng pre-budget discussions with both the minority and majority and Department of Education. Alam naman ng lahat na ang Department of Education at ang education sector, yun ang pinakamalaking bahagi ng budget dahil nga ito ay mahalaga at talagang nasa konstitusyon na ang pinakamalaking gasto sa gobyerno ay dapat para sa edukasyon. Kaya I hope i-monitor din ng publiko ang mga discussions ng budget namin. Hindi lamang ang budget namin, ang budget in relation to the size of the department, the number of our teachers, our learners, what we are doing in response to the pandemic, as well as our budget in relation to the overall national budget, which is also under considerations. So itong linggong ito at ang mga darating na mga araw ay very exciting. Para kaming nagbibilang, naghihintay ng Christmas, how many days more before October 5. Kaya talagang handang-handa na ang lahat at lahat na posibilidad na challenges ay hinarap na at binigyan ng solusyon kaagad. And in the meantime also, sinishare namin ang mga budgetary requirements para matupad itong lahat na ating mga programa na napaka-challenging dahil karamihan ng ating ginagawa ay hindi pa natin nagagawa in the form that we are doing them at present. Pero with your support, and I hope and I'm also expecting na the good news about education will be shared with everyone. The good news of what all of us are doing, hindi lamang sa department, ay masishare sa lahat in the realm of psychosocial interventions, in the realm of health, in the realm of making available the infrastructure, the tools, and the equipment that is necessary for our new and strengthened curriculum. So every week we will be updating you. Every week we will be sharing with you the good news about education. Kumbaga, sa old language, sa English, the gospel of education. Gospel means good news. There is good news in education. There is good news for the country. Thank you. Thank you, June. Salamat sa inyong attention.
Maraming salamat, ma'am, sa updates tungkol sa mga direktiba ng Pangulong Duterte para sa kagawaran ng edukasyon. Mamaya po, ma'am, ay magbibigay din ng detalyadong update si Yusek Ann tungkol sa pag-uumpisa ng budget hearing. Ma'am, ang huling regional director po na magbibigay ng update ay si RD Estela Carino ng Cagayan Valley Region. RD Estela?
Yes, good morning, Director June. Good morning, Secretary, and all the other EXECOM members joining us. So I am reporting the preparations we had done, and this is the preparation done by our dedicated and committed teaching and non-teaching personnel for our 806,239 learners. So part of our preparation for Region 2 would be, of course, aside from the preliminaries, we had strengthened our partnership with the local government officials. So in the school board, we have presented our learning continuity plan for the region. I presented it in the Social Development Council. For the superintendents, of course, to the provincial school board, and then we went to the district, to the municipal school board. And since, as mentioned by our secretary, we have contextualized learning plans for learning continuity plan for the schools. So even in the barangays, the school heads also share their learning continuity plan. And aside from that, we have also partnered with the OST through their Starbooks, with the Department of Agriculture through their program, the radio program, and some other radio programs. The importance of the partnership we have done, especially with our local government, of course, would not only be for the financial support that they have given us, but also, of course, also for the manpower, especially in the distribution of our modules, and guiding us in the different protocols in relation to COVID-19. And because of this, for Region 2, for the entire region, 9 divisions, for now, we only have 9 active cases coming from the learners, non-teaching, and teaching personnel. So aside from this, yes, next slide, we also have the disposition of the, maybe go to the slides, of the disposition of the modules. Yes. So for the printing of our modules, most of the schools division had it in-house because of the number of risograph bought or donated by our local government. Aside from the use of the SEF fund, some LGUs also use their general fund. And so we only have one division that had division-wide printing through public bidding. All the rest, the in-house printing went as far as the schools. And we have to accept that for some schools, the modules may not be enough for 1:1. So our directive is definitely for kinder to grade 3, the self-learning modules will have to be 1:1. But for grade 4 to 12, then that is where we can make use of textbooks, the learning activity sheets, and some other learning learning materials for those who cannot really give it 1:1. Next slide, please. And as to the conduct of the pilot testing, we started it in July 20 up to August 18, no? Especially when the opening was moved to October 5, so we continued. So the pilot testing was done in all of these modalities. So we have printed and digitized. We also have the radio-based instruction. We also have the online, and we have all the different types of blended learning. So all the different divisions had their own pilot testing, dry run, in the different schools. Next slide, please. Now, from the dry run, we have seen some of these challenges that we have to address. Of course, there are several of these challenges. Some are just minor, but some are, we consider major. One of the major challenges experienced by the teacher, of course, would be the distance of the houses of these learners and the kind of road that they have to pass through. Some have to cross rivers and so on and so forth. So aside from that also, we found out as part of the dry run that really some of our learners do not have parents who could help them. And a small percentage, we found out that there were some parents who really answered the modules for their kids. No? So what are our solutions for this? So first, of course, would be as to the distribution of the modules, we give a policy, or we decided with the SDS that for the coastal areas, the distribution will really be done quarterly because of the difficulty. And for in the mainland, because of course also of the COVID protocols, we decided to have it monthly, no distribution and then retrieval, so that the teachers will not be exposed constantly to of course the danger of the COVID. As to those parents without those learners without parents to guide them, then the schools assigned para teachers for this number of learners who are identified without anyone to guide them. And then also we assign teachers in the barangay who lives in the barangay or purok to take care of these learners so that they will be guided. As to the parents also, we have to really give extensive orientation, like they have to be patient, like they should not be answering really those self-learning modules if they want their children to learn, and then anyway the time is quite long for their children to really answer it by themselves, and then some teachers will really be guiding them. Also, we found out that for some areas, some teachers are afraid to go, especially in areas where, of course, we know that there might be problem on their safety, and so we coordinated with PNP and AFP. Whenever the modules will be distributed, then we need their help. And aside from that, of course, the help of the barangay officials in the distribution. We also opened our line through our public affairs unit. Any problem experienced by the learners or the parents, as well as the community, in relation to the implementation of the basic education learning continuity plan, will be sent through our office so that we can give technical assistance. And as to the protocols, the last slide, please. Yeah, the schools are prepared even if there is no face-to-face, because some parents are going there to get the books that their children would be needed. Some of our teachers are reporting to prepare the materials, and so we have to do the different protocols. So schools have hand washing, all the schools have foot operated alcohol dispenser, and then there should be thermal scanning also. And then, of course, they have to follow physical distancing. Training as to our overall readiness, as to the enrollment, we can Region 2 is already in the advanced level. For the printing of self-learning module, we are also in the advanced level, except for 2 divisions in the progressing level. For teacher training, we are in the advanced. Radio and TV modality, that's the advanced. Actually, when the classes or when the opening of class was moved to October 5, then we had to do some adjustment in the RBI, because we found out that the frequency wasn't able to reach some parts of the municipality or of the division, wherein in those municipalities, then they will have to be given USBs. And aside from that, also we have to maximize the use the materials, wherein some divisions can share with the RBI lessons of the other divisions. For the online, we are still in the progressing stage because of the unstable internet, and that is why we only have some few schools, like here in Tuguegarao, we only have 1 school that will be on under online because of the problem of unstable internet. As for the orientation of parents, we are advanced already because of the help of our local government, as well as other national government units or agencies. And for the health and safety protocols, we are also in the advanced stage. And I'd like to mention that as of now, we only have 9 active cases, 5 learners, 2 teaching personnel, and 2 non-teaching personnel. And we hope to always follow the protocols to really see to it that our learners, teachers, and non-teaching are safe from COVID-19. We would like to share some videos of the simulations that happened during our dry run. Thank you, Director June. May we have the video? Our learners and teaching are COVID-19. We would like
maganda ang lapis ay isang halimbawa ng solid na material. Bulaklak, bola at libro ay halimbawa ng solid. Ang mga ito ay may saktong hugis at dami kahit saang lalagyan man sila ilagay. Sa mga larawang ito at ito ba? Alam mo ba kung anong anyo nito? Pansinin naman natin ngayon kung may pagbabago sa hugis ng liquid na ito kung isasalin natin sa iba't ibang lagayan na may iba't ibang hugis. Ano namang anyo ng matter ito? Nakita naman natin ngayon kung nagbabago din ang hugis ng gas kapag inilagay sa iba't ibang lagayan na may iba't ibang hugis.
They say research is boring, hard to do. Do you think of it that way too? Throw away those kinds of perceptions. How we perceive things make all the difference. It's just a matter of mindset. Always think that research is fun. Yes, you heard it right. Research is fun. It can take you to adventures and experiences that will help you grow as a student and as a person.
Hello dear learners, this is Teacher Lovely of ICAL TV, transmitting English language learning to your respective televisions. Prepare yourselves and join me in this learning session. Now, turn your modules to page 3. Are you there now? Let us discuss Lesson 1, Nature and Process of Communication. Let's start.
Sa bagong normal, gamit ang mga hotlines na kapaskil sa Learning Kids, maging on-call po ang aming tanggapan sa pagsagot ng mga katanungan ng mga bata ukol sa module na kanilang inaaral.
Ang lahat naman ng mga guro sa working area ay maaaring direktang sumagot sa mga sinangguning tanong matapos silang i-notify ng guro sa Learning Assistance Desk.
Ang lahat ng mga asignatura ay magkakaroon ng hotline. Ang mga numerong ito ay bukas mula alas 7 ng umaga hanggang alas 5 ng hapon.
Bibigyan din ng prioridad na kamustahin ang mga estudyanteng nagpalista sa Learners Without Parents upang siguraduhin may gabay sila sa pag-aaral.
Pero ang tanong, ano nga ba ang mangyayari sa mga naprosesong learning materials sa bawat hub? Ang mga naayos ng learning modules at learning activity sheets ay ipapadala sa Learn Main Centers ng paaralan. Isa sa ayos dito ang lahat ng learning materials kada grade level upang maging handa para sa packaging. Susunod ay ipapackage na ito mula sa main center at iimbak pananandalian sa tip-off area ng paaralan. Dito susunduin ng mga transport vehicle mula sa mga barangay ang mga modules kada Lunes. Kapag dumating na ang transport vehicle, susundan ito ng mga teacher coordinators sa bawat barangay upang masiguro ang distribusyon nito sa mga estudyante. Kung magkakaroon man ng kakulangan sa modules, itatawag ito agad sa main center upang makapagpadala ng karagdagang kopya. Ang lahat ng ito ay gagawin ng may karampatang pag-iingat upang masigurong ligtas ang ating mga guro.
Ako si Rena Lubitagapan. Ako ang nagsilbing ESD online teacher ng mga batang sumailalim sa dry run ng online distance learning. Ang online distance learning ay isang pamamaraan ng pagtuturo para sa mga batang may kakayahang gumamit ng internet. Ginamit ito para sa proseso ng pagtuturo at pagkatuto, habang hindi pa pinahintulutan ang face-to-face na pagtuturo. Sa ganitong pamamaraan, ang mga aralin at iba pang gawain ay in-upload online.
Thank you po. So yan po yung mga iba't ibang nangyari noon sa dry run. Thank you, Director June.
Alright. Just Agninia, Ma'am Estela Carino, ang Regional Director ng Cagayan Valley Region. Kasama rin po natin ngayon si Undersecretary Annalyn Sevilla upang bigyan tayo ng update at overview tungkol sa panukalang budget ng Department of Education. Ma'am, good morning po.
Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Magandang umaga, Secretary, sa ating mga kapamilya sa DepEd at sa ating mga kasama sa media. And of course, pinaka-importante ang ating mga kasama ngayon na mga monitor sa ating Facebook Live. So I'm trying to share my presentation. Can you see it? Director June, is it showing?
Yes, you said that.
Yes, okay. Just trying to find out how it can be in this, slide screen. Okay. Ready? Nakikita na, Director June?
Yes, ma'am. Apa.
Yes, okay. Good morning. So this is a technical briefing. So medyo gagawin kong mas madali maintindihan, mas lalo na importante ito sa ating mga eskwelahan. Ano ang meron tayo sa 2021 na budget natin? Unang-una, ang kabuuang budget ng buong bansa ay tataas ng 9.9%. Ngayong taon, meron tayong 4.1 trillion at next year, ito ay magiging 4.5 trillion. So 9.9% ang taas ng buong kabuuan ng ating budget para sa buong bansa. Susunod naman ay ang budget na meron pong pinakamataas sa buong national government. At ito ang education sector o ang ating sektor ng edukasyon. May total na 754 billion. Hindi lamang po ito DepEd, kasama natin ang CHED, lahat ng state universities and colleges, at TESDA. Kung ito po ay ikukumpara ninyo sa taon na ito, 2020, meron po tayong 693 billion ngayon, at ito ay tumaas ng 61 billion or 8.8% increase para sa susunod na taon. So tingnan natin ang edukasyon. Ang sektor ng edukasyon, kumpara ngayong taon at sa susunod na taon, ay may mga increase lahat. Siyempre, pinakamalaki dyan ang DepEd kasi kinder to grade 12 tayo. Ang state universities and colleges at ang CHED ay para sa tertiary education at yung TESDA naman ay para sa mga skills development. So, ang porsyento rin o ang hati natin sa edukasyon ay makikita ninyo tumaas at 80.39% kumpara sa ibang mga ahensya na nagbibigay din ng serbisyo para sa edukasyon. So tayo ngayon ay pupunta sa DepEd lamang, no? Meron tayong 606.4 billion. At ito po, pag inyo pong ni-round off at pag sinama natin yung ating kontribusyon para sa GSIS, ito po yung RLIP or Retirement and Life Insurance Premium, yan po yung ating yung share ng ating employer o ng gobyerno para sa GSIS ay magiging 605.74 billion. Meron po tayong itinaas na 53 billion or 9.54% na increase kumpara sa budget natin ngayong taon na ito. Hahatiin po natin ang ating total budget na 605.7 billion. 475 billion dito ay para sa ating mga salaries, benefits, allowances, lahat pertaining to employee welfare ay nandito po sa personal services at makikita natin na ito ay tumaas ng 13.54%. Kasi by next year, meron na naman po ulit na salary increase. Ito po yung second tranche ng Salary Standardization Law at makikita po natin yung detalye nito sa ilalabas ng Department of Budget and Management kung magkano yung magiging increase at yan po ay naisabatas na. So, meron po tayong kasigurahan sa ating mga guro na ating po mga naka-employ ngayon at meron din po akong detalye mamaya kung ilan pa ang sasama sa atin, madadagdag ng mga guro at mga manggagawa. Ang MOE o ito po yung ating operasyon, pambayad sa ating supplies, utilities, etc. ay tumaas ng 3.49% from 94.9 billion, ngayon ay 98.2 or 98.3 billion. Mamaya ibibigay ko yung detalye. Pero ang makikita natin dito, ang capital outlay, ito ang ating mga bagong classroom, mag-repair, at yung mga equipment, more than 15,000 pesos ay tinatawag na capital outlay, ay bumaba ng 18% or 39.6 billion ngayong taon na ito ay magiging 32.3 billion. So kabuuan, 9.54 increase, 605.74 billion. Nais ko rin na i-explain sa ating mga nakikinig ngayon na itong 605.7 billion ay ito po yung dumaan sa proseso. Tayo po ay nag-submit ng proposal but it is higher than 605.7 billion. Pero ito po yung nabigyan ng suporta ng Department of Budget and Management. At tayo po, ang susunod po natin gagawin ay syempre pumunta sa Congress kasi tayo po ay magkakaroon ng budget hearing at i-explain din po natin yan isa-isa sa kanila kung ano yung proposal natin at yung recommendation. Papakita ko sa inyo pero hindi ko na kayang isa-isahin ito, probably in the other briefing. And of course, mamaya after the press con ay magkakaroon po kami ng meeting with all the regional directors para po malaman natin kung ano ang implication o epekto ng mga budget na ito sa ating mga paaralan. Makikita ninyo na ang mga nakalagay dito ay nagkaroon ng increase sa allocation or almost the same. At ito yung pinaka-importante at alam natin na ang susunod na taon ay continuation pa rin ng ating Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan. Kaya makikita nyo na ang malaking budget natin na itinaas ay sa DepEd Computerization Program, sa ating flexible learning option kasi nandito ang ating self-learning modules at yung increase sa personnel position kasi magkakaroon tayo ng dagdag na mga guro kahit sa isang taon. Ito naman yung mga programs na nagkaroon ng decrease or kabawasan sa ating budget. At makikita natin na ang school dental health ay wala na next year. Ang last mile school ay bumaba from 6.5 to 1.5 billion. Ang voucher program ay may binaba rin na 10 billion at yung iba pa po rito na mga benefits. Pero ito po ay explain ko mamaya kasi ang ating Secretary Liling Briones ay nakipagpulong sa Department of Budget and Management at ating pong na ipaliwanag na mas kailangan natin sa last mile school, kailangan natin sa subsidies and assistance o voucher program, at kailangan pa natin para sa mga learning resources or self-learning materials ang additional na pondo. At tayo po ay napagbigyan ng DBM dyan. Unfortunately, hindi po siya kasama sa program. Kaya nakalagay dyan programs. Ibig sabihin, wala pa siya sa NEP as program, pero nasama po siya as standby or unprogrammed fund. Mamaya po, tapakita ko yon. Ito rin po ang iba pang mga programa natin na meron pong epekto ng pagbawas sa ating budget. So ito pong magiging materials na ito ay bibigay natin mamaya para po makita ninyo yung mga detalye. Ito ay highlights lamang ng ating mga programa na importante ngayon at maging sa susunod na taon. Makikita ninyo sa mga number of personnel or teaching positions natin, as of May this year ay meron na tayong 830,000 na mga filled up positions. Kasama, ito po ay para sa mga teachers lamang or guru lamang. At kami po ay meron ngayong taon na ito na 10,000 na position, na-create na po ang 9,640, na-fill up na po ang 244, kaya ongoing ang ating filling up of teaching position as of this year. And next year, may bago ulit na 10,000 new teaching position. Sa ating school-based feeding program, itong taon na ito ay meron tayo tinatarget na mga mag-aaral na atin po mabibigyan ng pakain sa programa na ito, 1,775,349. Ito po ay na-revise na namin ang target dahil kailangan natin mag-update. Ngayon na hindi pumapasok ang mga bata, hindi natin nakuha ang kanilang mga timbang, pero gumawa po ng inventaryo ang ating mga paaralan at atin na po itong na-revise at ito po ang ating gagamitin din para sa susunod na taon na target. Para po sa ating voucher program, meron po tayong 1,118,766 na mga mag-aaral na nakakatanggap ng ating voucher para sa ESC. At meron din tayong 1,290,000 na mga mag-aaral para naman sa mga senior high school voucher. Makikita nyo rin po sa slide na yan, ang iba pang mga mag-aaral na talagang nakikinabang or nabibigyan po ng subsidiya ng ating gobyerno. Sila po ay nag-aaral sa private school at tayo ay nagbibigay ng suporta para po mapagpatuloy nila ang pag-aaral nila sa private school. Sa susunod na taon ay mayroon po kasiguruhan na sila ay magiging voucher students pa rin at yan po yung ating target na nakalagay dyan. In terms of the learning tools and equipment, ito po yung para sa ating technical, vocational livelihood at sa mga science and math equipment. Nagbago lang po tayo ng indicator. Dati po by package, ibig sabihin isang kurso, isang package. Ngayon ginawa natin by pieces para mas madali po natin to na ma-procure at ma-distribute ay by number of pieces at yan po yung indicators para po sa isang taon, sa susunod na taon. Ito naman po yung ating basic education facilities, mostly capital outlay. At dito ay atin po siya breakdown sa new construction, repair, number of seats or school seats na atin pong bibilin, at yung pong electrification or mabibigyan ng mga linya ng kuryente para sa taon na ito at sa susunod na taon. Andito rin po yung estado ng ating pangkasalukuyan na taon. At makikita na atin din po itong ginagawa kahit meron po tayong pandemya ngayon, ay tuloy-tuloy na ginagawa natin ito. Ito po isa rin maganda pagkakataon na habang wala ang mga bata inaayos ang construction. Dahil alam natin na later on, kaya tinawag natin siyang blended learning, ay magkakaroon tayo ng continuation ng ating education and of course with the guidance and policies ng Department of Health. At habang yun po ay iniintay natin, kailangan kami po ay nagpe-prepare for that. Makikita natin na lumiit ang budget for the new construction pero mas marami po ang ating inilagay para sa repair. Ito ay dahil sinama na natin ang washing facilities, ang mga toilet construction at lahat po para po sa minimum basic health standard na ating pong ginagawa pangkasalukuyan at sa susunod na taon. Ang ating DepEd computerization program ay isa sa mga nagkaroon ng pinakamalaking increase, about 4 billion increase. Dito po kasama ang 37,221 computer packages for next year. At pati po yung public education network na inanunsyo po ng ating mahal na presidente ng SONA ay gumagawa po tayo ng paraan na magkaroon ng internet connection. Umpisa sa ating mga eskwelahan, sa mga guro at later on para rin sa ating mga mag-aaral. So ito po ay ginagawa in coordination with PCOO, DITC at iba pong mga ahensya pa ng ating gobyerno na maggagawa ng paraan na tayo ay magkaroon ng connection sa internet. At ang pinakahuli dito, pero pinaka-importante, ang ating textbook and other instructional materials. So textbooks production will still be ongoing. At nasa iba pong budget item yung ating self-learning modules. Ito po ay meron pong nakalagay na 15 billion for next year. At kaya po tayo ay gumagawa na ng mga polisiya at pag-prepare para po magawa natin to ng mas maaga at maging mas maayos po yung ating distribution for the next year. Ito po ang tinatawag naming minor program pero importante rin. Minor because hindi siya yung kasama doon sa measure sa atin in terms of education agency. Pero kung makikita nyo ang general management, ang ibig sabihin po yan, MOE, ay nag-increase ng 4.3 billion, rounded off. 4.3 billion is for our minimum health standards. Kaya ang ating mga pangangailangan ng mga guro mag-aaral on the PPE and all the health condition na dapat po ay protection na natin ay gagawin po natin for next year pag ito po ay naaprubahan, ibibigay po natin to hanggang sa level ng eskwelahan para po makapag-prepare tayo for the next school year. Ang iba pa po ng mga programa ay akin na lang pong dadaanan dahil mas marami po yan. Kapag pula, ibig sabihin ay bumaba ang budget. Pag green ay tumaas ang budget. Ito po yung sinasabi ko kanina na unprogrammed appropriation. Through the appeal and request of our Secretary Liling Briones to the Department of Budget and Management, nadagdagan po tayo ng 25.8 billion. Una, para sa electrification ng ating mga eskwelahan, 3.8 billion. Ang last mile school ay madadagdagan ng 6.5 billion. Ang ating materyales ay madadagdagan ng 5 billion. At yung ating voucher program ay madadagdagan ng 10.5 billion. All in all, 25.8 billion. Pero ang tawag namin dito ay standby fund, unprogrammed fund. Bakit? Kasi ang kasiguruhan lang na magkakaroon ng pondo ay yung nakapasok sa DepEd budget. At kung magkakaroon ng excess na revenue next year, or magkakaroon ng bagong revenue collection next year, or approved loan, ay saka po mailalabas ang mga budget na yan. At least ito po ay ibig sabihin, tayo yung nakasunod sa pila. Kung sakali magkakaroon ng mga bagong mga revenues na papasok next year, yung kanina pinakita kong slide will be given priority at yung po ang magkakaroon po ng additional na budget pa sa atin. So 605 plus the 25.8 billion will be the budget of Department of Education next year. We look forward for the budget hearing. Magkakaroon na po kami ngayong linggo na ito sa susunod na linggo at naka-ready po ang ating secretary at 10 ng kanyang mga kasama sa kagawaran ng edukasyon para po ating pong ma-explain at ma-depensa na mas kailangan natin ang pondo na ito para po mapagpatuloy natin ang ginagawa natin ngayon na Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan. Marami pong salamat, Director June.
All right. Thank you so much, ma'am. Maraming salamat, Undersecretary Annalyn Sevilla, para po sa updates tungkol sa proposed budget ng Department of Education. At this juncture, tayo po ay pupunta na sa katanungan ng ating mga kasamahan sa media. Ang unang magtatanong po ay si Bam Orpilla ng Bombo Radyo. Bam? Bam Orpilla ng Bombo Radyo. Bam? Good afternoon. Alright, parang may connectivity problem. So, pabalikan natin si Bam ng Bombo Radyo. Unahin muna natin si Jasmine Romero ng ABS-CBN. Jasmine, go ahead.
Good morning po sa inyong lahat. Secretary, gusto ko sana po, overall, ano na po ang kalalabasan ng classroom ratio at paano na po ito makakayanan ng mga teachers, knowing that more teachers will be expected to work more and micromanage a lot more compared to the traditional setup.
Ma'am, yeah, so you suggest Mateo po ang teacher-student ratio.
Baka susukutin ni ma'am. Anyway, ma'am, if you will allow me.
Yes, of course.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning. Ay, good afternoon na pala. Good afternoon, Jasmine. Thank you. So far, yung student pupil ratio natin, nandun, bababa pa rin doon sa 1:35. Pero may mga schools like in NCR na medyo tumataas na dahil nga sa transferees from private to public. But in spite of that, we still see that the student pupil ratio is just the same or better than the previous several years. No, 1:50, 1:60 tayo. It's lower than the current ratio. If you compare it in school year 2019-2020, for elementary, it's now down to 29, 1:29. In junior high, it's 26. Senior high, it's 32. Pero dahil nga meron mga late enrollees pa, hindi pa natin makikita yung talagang teacher-pupil ratio, that is until after the late enrollees are already in the system at ma-stabilize na yung enrollment. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Jasmine. Back to you.
Mga estudyanteng nagpalista sa learners with
Itatawag ito agad sa
Sir, ng mga batang sumailalim sa dry run ng online distance learning. Ang distance learning ay isang
Okay, all right. Jasmine, may question ka?
Additional questions po, no?
Go ahead.
Babalikan ko po si Secretary. Secretary, nabanggit niyo po kanina that DepEd is going to strengthen the mental health curriculum and stance. Ang tanong ko po, paano po ito magagawa ng DepEd kung kulang pa po ng guidance counselors? Maglalagay po ba
Kulang
ng
na.
mga mental health professionals sa mismong DepEd? And will you be hiring guidance counselors at this time?
For the past several months, we have been holding webinars and upskilling of teachers. And we have engaged the services of professionals kasi itong situation na ito is more challenging. Ang situation natin at present is more challenging than the usual everyday rigors of holding classes and so on and so forth. So we have been having these sessions for several months now. At saka dati kasi ang focus ng ating attention, of course, as far as I'm concerned, is the learners. Yun ang una. Lalo na kung mayroong sakuna, mayroong earthquake, at saka ngayon nandito si COVID, ay ang mga bata. Kasi kailangan i-build up yung kanilang capacity to deal and to accept change. No? So this time, we are putting also additional emphasis on the upskilling of teachers themselves. Now, tinanong nga ako, paano na yun? Mukhang hindi masyadong magiging effective ito dahil kulang tayo ng guidance counselors. That's true, but we are seeking also the help of professionals. At not only ang teachers ang binigyan natin ng ganitong klaseng upskilling, but also our policy makers, our program coordinators, mayroon tayo for the executives, the entire range na of kasi usually kung may lindol sa isang lugar, sa kanila lang yung upskilling, sa kanila lang yung include, pag-enhance ng nila, ng skills nila. Pero ngayon ay pangkalahatan. Kaya napakalaking program ito at ang nagmamanage nito last week nga brief tayo lahat ni Director Ronico. At saka hanggang ngayon, these are still ongoing. Pero all levels na, Jasmine, from learners to teachers to the executives themselves. Especially ang tama sa edukasyon napakatindi, no? Because of the changes in the schedules, and you're dealing with humans ranging from children to people who are nearing retirement. And it's not only the pandemic, it's the requirements to survive the pandemic. So that means a different way of teaching, different combinations of learning modalities, different skills that are needed. So mas matindi ang pressures at this time on all of us, including myself. Tapos at the back of our mind pa, we keep on wondering, will I catch it? This COVID thing? Can I survive it? Tapos nandyan pa yung mga curriculum, nandyan pa yung mga assignments, nandyan pa yung learning continuity program. So nandyan lahat na. So kailangan talaga natin na ang nangyayari dito hindi naman individual lamang na sinasabi nating counseling. It's really by groups. na mag-sharing ng experience, mag-sharing on how we survive these challenges. Kasi the pressures are very, very intense, as you can imagine. It's not only dealing with the physical dangers of pandemic, it's dealing with the psychological requirements, the strength of will, the courage. Tapos, ano pa, you are surrounded by criticisms, you are surrounded by discouraging news. Whatever you try to do is hardly noticed at all. And to keep on, that's a huge challenge for education, and not just for and not going beyond the learners, kasi dati talaga ang focus namin ang learners. Hanggang ngayon focus namin learners pa rin, but kasama na ang kami na lahat-lahat, like saka iba't ibang klaseng pressures. The pressures, for example, on the learners are different dahil they have to be adjusting to the idea of different type of schooling and to be staying at home. The pressures on the teachers are also very, very different. Aside from the constant fear, which is always articulated endlessly of catching coronavirus, there is also the pressure to upskill, the pressure to learn new ways of teaching. Hindi lang yung lecture method. How do you teach through TV? How do you teach through radio? And how do you use all these modular learning materials? At saka nagwa-widen yung groups of people whom you have to deal with. You deal with local governments, you deal with the parents, and of course, you deal with the DepEd officials. Then you go to the administrators. They are under pressure to deliver because hindi na pwede yung uniform lahat, pareho-pareho. On the basis of what is happening on the ground, they have to formulate their plans, their programs, their approaches. And you will notice that when they make the presentations of the dry runs, iba't iba talaga. Walang magkapareho, like an island like Alabat, and then you have Isabela, and then you have Mindanao. Magkaibang approach and iba't ibang pressure sa kanila. And then the pressures on the policy makers, the policy implementers, the ones who guide the directions, the constant criticism, the constant kantyaw, the constant mura. You have to be very, very strong to be able to continue and to believe in what you are doing. So, hindi lang ito, kasi ang guidance counselor is for our learners. This time, we are also seeking the help of professionals. And most important, we share with each other. And this is why we meet very, very often, virtually, maybe 3 times a week, 2 times a week. And aside from the usual telephone calls, it's a very tremendous kind of pressure. And as I said, the most difficult, of course, as far as in the policy making, is the cruelty, the viciousness, which we have to deal with, and you have to have inner reserves of strength. And perhaps this is why Secretary SOJ of Justice is saying, the faith groups have to come in, and these are also very useful. So iba't ibang mga level ito, hindi kakasya yung guidance counselor to help us through this. It's not only the learners, Jasmine, it's everybody. Amidst a political, social, and economic environment which is not necessarily encouraging or even inspiring. But you soldier on, you go on, because that's what education is all about. That is what being in government is all about. That You have to deal with the complaints, with the criticism, with the indifference, with the viciousness and the cruelty, because at the end of the day, our concern is, of course, largely the learners. This is why when I am asked and people give me opinions and advice, etc., my usual answer, and June is this time is looking very serious, is why don't we ask the children? You have a grandchild, you ask your grandchild, what does your grandchild really want? All of us are experts in education. We're surrounded by criticism, by cruelty, by viciousness, by greed. But we have a constitutional duty, and education teachers have always survived. This is not a beyond caring. We care for the learners, we care for the teachers, but we have to care also for our officials, for our supervisors, for those who coordinate the work, for our janitors, and also for our executives. Sometimes the assumption is that if you are in government, therefore you are corrupt. And that is, of course, we all know that is not necessarily true, that everybody is corrupt, everybody is stupid, everybody is inefficient. And to deal with that kind of environment, Jasmine, requires skills in addition to those for guidance counselors. Kailan talaga professional for grown-ups, for everybody in the department, and I suspect also in other departments as well. If you interview individually our regional directors, our central office directors, our undersecretaries, our secretaries, our assistant secretaries, and they will all tell you they have never worked as hard as they have worked in their entire lives to accomplish in a matter of 6 months a huge threat, a huge pandemic with all its implications, with all its demands, with all the indifference, with all the criticism. This is where, of course, as I said, it's necessary, and this is why we hold each other's hands. Parang isang grupo lang sa education ang kawawa o isang sektor lang ang kawawa. Hindi. All of us are in this. And if we talk about suffering, all of us are suffering. So my simple, complicated answer to your simple question is we are engaging the help of professionals. But the important thing is the sharing of the experience itself. So we talk to each other. What did you do when this thing happened to you? How did you solve this problem when this happened, etc.? I am facing this. Wala na kaming ink, wala na kaming papel, etc. O wala kaming gadgets, ganon. Palagi na lang kaming kinikriticize. Parang ang Department of Education parang na segment na isang segment ng kawawang-kawawa, everybody else is cruel, everybody else is indifferent. I don't think that is necessarily true, no? So even with all the departments, so I don't know how media can capture that. I don't know how social media can capture that situation and share it with those. Kasi parang I am a taxpayer, therefore impress me. Tell me what you are doing. We are doing this, we are doing, that is not enough. Impress me some more. Tell me some more. What are you doing? What are you not doing? Pero is there a kind word? Is there a word of encouragement? Not all give words of encouragement. Nothing that a person in government these days is enough. Nothing is satisfactory. And to deal with that, and you are in government, you are a government official, you are a principal, you are a superintendent, you are perhaps a local government official. To deal with that at this time needs great reserves of personal strength. Strength which has to be shared with everybody else. Kaya yung sa natin, sa sessions natin with the executives, we share our anxieties, not just our triumphs, our memoranda, our memos, and so on and so forth, but also the fears and how we deal with them. Parang nothing that we ever do is ever enough. Nothing that we ever think about or produce is ever satisfactory. In a very short period of time, 6 months, you overhaul the entire educational system, and it is not enough. So, your question about psychosocial issues, yes, our learners are our priority. At the end of the day, it's our learners. Who cares about the learners, even as we debate? Who really worries about them? Who is the loser in all this debates and all this criticism? Is it not the learner? Is it not your pamangkin? Is it not your apo? Is it not your child? Kaya I ask my friends, you ask your grandchild. So, ayon, it's different this time. And to be able, today is National Heroes Day, but June, and yeah, and June was asking to have a message. The usual message, of course, is remember our national heroes, the three most important heroes, Jose Rizal, Andres Bonifacio, and Mabini, and all the others. But I think we have to remember the heroes now. We remember the frontliners, they are our heroes. But we should also look at the people in government who are doing their best, who are serving as much as they can in the midst of vicious and cruel criticism. They are also heroes. Our teachers are heroes. But the principals, the superintendents, the district offices, the regional directors, the central office directors who spend sleepless nights, all of them who have to deal with my midnight and early morning calls, they are also heroes. And if we survive, and we will survive, it's because these heroes are around and mentioned and appreciated, frequently criticized, but heroes nevertheless. So we celebrate them and we pay tribute to them. Thank you.
Well said, ma'am.
Nalusutado si John. John always tries to restrain. But alam mo, mga matatanda, hindi na yun marirestrain.
Well said, ma'am.
Remember, the frontliners are our heroes. But how about those in government who are excoriated, who are criticized, who are damned, but continue serving? Di ba? Napayak tuloy si Yusek Ann. Oo. And wala nang ibang nasa isip nila kundi learning continuity plan, dry runs, simulations, at saka maghanda pag mag-ring na yung cellphone. Ayan na naman, si Briones tumawag. But are they not heroes as well? In addition to our teachers, na talagang nagdidili sila ang tuturo. And our learners, everybody loves the learners. But what are we doing to them? How are we shaping them? What kind of examples are we giving to our learners? How are we teaching them? Ayan ang new normal. Kung nakangiti si Jess. Ayan, Joe nakalusot na naman ako.
Pwede pong magdagdag?
Ano?
Pwede po magdagdag ng informasyon?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yung sa guidance counselor, kung maalala nyo, ma'am, may sulat kayo sa DBM
Yes,
requesting for the increase in the salary grade ng ating mga guidance counselor. Kasi as of now, we do have 2,300 plus items. But unfortunately, 1,700 lang yung talagang registered simply because of the Magna Carta for Guidance Counselor. Kaya nga po yung request nyo sa DBM to increase the salary grade ng Guidance Counselor from salary grade 11 to salary grade 13 para maging attractive. Thank you, ma'am.
Sir Jun, pahabol lamang po, no? I'm sure marami po ang gustong maging matapang sa mga panahon ngayon, pero not everybody will have that fortitude to go through with it. Meron po bang mga kaso ng mga hindi nakakayanan tulad ng mga teachers o kaya ng mga estudyante? Ano na po ang naging response dito, if ever, ng DepEd?
This question is addressed kay Secretary, no, Jasmine? Yep, yung psychosocial to eh. Yeah.
Po. Kahit kanino po.
Okay. Or maybe Yusek Nepo, sir?
Parang nasagot na yata ni Bob yun.
Hindi ko na makayanan eh. So baka regional directors.
Director June.
I think the regional directors can contribute because they are the ones in proximate coordination at the ground level, and I think I think in the central office we have adopted the work from home and alternative work arrangement where there is a yung mga kailangan talagang nasa office continue to work in the office, and I think you know part of the survival is the support for when exposure happens and so on. I think that is where the sense of the DepEd family beyond what is provided for officially comes in. Kasi I think that is very crucial that there is no feeling of being abandoned pagka may mga incidents na nangyayari. So I guess I think that's what keeps us moving forward. But I think the regional directors have a lot to
Before
contribute.
that, Yusek Nepo and Secretary, if I may, yung policy cover siguro para ma-lay down. Matagal na. I think March pa lang, April and May, nagbigay na po si Secretary ng guidelines ng tawag natin, alternative working arrangement. At yun yung sinasabi ni Yusek Nepo na binigyan ng choice ang employees if they want to work from home at kung meron silang mga health situation or scenario na hindi talaga sila po pwede na lumabas, ay pinag-usapan na po yan para po matuloy-tuloy na may ginagawa sila at meron silang contribution to our program. So bawat region, tama rin si Yusek Nepo, bawat region ang makakasagot kung sino sa mga empleyado ang nagkaroon ng voluntary and willingness din na mag-work from home at magkaroon ng yung inahatid, yung mga self-learning modules or materials, at saka kung saan sila mas magkakaroon ng contribution. Sabi nga natin, iba-iba yan. TV, radio, modules, at saka yung coordination with the local government units, parents, and guardians collaboration as well. So yung alternative working arrangement is the answer at the policy level, pero ang implementation nasa regional director. So yun lang yung segue, probably Director June.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think RD Malcolm will have an additional insight po. RD, go ahead po.
Yeah, thank you, Director June. Insofar as the concern raised by Jasmine regarding the, I think she was referring to yung suicides natin o yung suicide cases natin. So far for NCR, we haven't monitored yet any case of suicide among our learners or even our teachers. In fact, parang mas madami pa prior to the COVID. Yes. Mas marami tayong nare-register na cases. Well, I think if we would like to look into the situation right now wherein we are under quarantine. I think ang magandang nangyayari ngayon is that our learners are with their families. So the families get to get together, and the parents get to monitor their children more closely. Unlike during those times na nasa labas ang mga bata, so there are so many stimuli that can trigger. In fact, in NCR, based on the reports that we had in terms of suicide, marami nga doon ang mga bata ay ang nagiging way of taking their own lives is tumatalon sila. They were in malls, sa isang mga building, yung mga ganon. So I guess if there's one thing that we would like to thank for, even if we are under this kind of situation, is that magkakasama ngayon ang mga pamilya. And I think that is a very, very positive situation for us, even for parents. Ang isa lang pong binabantayan natin dito is of course the effect of social media. So because we all know that while at home, many of our learners are basically engaged on social media. And in fact, in NCR, we would like really to make a full-blown advocacy program on cyberbullying. So we are coordinating right now with the likes of IBM, Save the Children, Stairway Foundation, kasi gusto namin gawing advokasya ito not just not just reminder or guidelines, but we would like really to create a flagship program on advocating the effect of cyberbullying. I think that is where we should really be focusing on, kasi yan lang yung sa tingin ko with children at home, yan yung pinaka maari maging stimulus that they get to break down and then do something that is very regrettable. So I think that's what I can share with the group now. Thank you, Director Chu. Thank you, Secretary.
If I may come back, I may rejoin the conversation. So much great deal of attention is placed on suicide. Pero sa count natin right now, of course I'm going to be criticized. There's isa ang case na alam natin. And then there were other factors that that led to the act of this young person. She's already past 17 years old. I will not give the details because that is not encouraged. Pero ang on record natin is one case. Ang bigger problem, Yasmin, para sa akin, bigger challenge is the overall feeling of insecurity, of anxiety. Mas matindi ito, mas threatening ito as a challenge to us because everyone feels it. Whether you are a teacher, you are a learner, you are a principal, supervisor, regional director, this pressure, this fear, this anxiety of what we do not know much about. Ito yung sabi natin psychosocial events and psychosocial conditions. At yun ang I'm saying na that occupies the minds of our people. Hindi lamang ang learners, kasi ang wini-worry ni Secretary of Justice ay yung mga bata, no? Pero itong overall, I mean, of course these things can lead to suicide kung if they do at all. So far, as I said, since the COVID thing, we have recorded one case, no? Pero itong cases of anxiety, of worry, of pressure, of being threatened and not knowing what is in the future, etc. Yung sinasabi natin general na psychosocial, yun ang malaking challenge that we have to deal with, because it's very important for the mental health of our people. General mental health ang para sa akin malaking This is why, as I was saying, it's not as if only one section of society is heroic. Lahat naman heroic. May ginagawa naman talaga. Oo. At saka like us, biro mo, tremendous ang pressure ng August 24. But they were all determined to comply. Ang ating mga tao. Then the president eased the pressure and declared October 5. But still, it's still very tough. Dahil it's about 6 months. And you overhaul the entire educational system, you change the curriculum, you change the learning modalities, the learning deliveries. You have to convince the parents, you have to convince the local governments, and most important of all, you have to convince media, and you have to impress. And you are the villain. And you are not doing anything. Nothing you ever do is sufficient. That is the psychosocial thing that we are dealing with, and which I take very seriously, and which we try to respond to among our people, at least in my department, and I'm sure the other departments are also looking into that. Yung sinasabi nila na it's a thankless, mayroon bang nag-thank you? Mayroon bang nag-thank you for all the efforts, for all the studies, for all the sleepless nights, for all the deadlines, for all the creativity, pilitan, squeezing creativity out of So, yan, si Jun, he is smiling and smiling, but I pressure him horrendously. And all of these challenges, it's not only one section of the Department of Education. It's not only one group. It's the entire department. Yun, for me, is the bigger challenge, in addition to the fears of suicide, because the fear, of course, is it will lead to that. But yun nga, before these things happen, then you have to do something. Kaya mas broader yung namin ngayon. We have the webinars for everybody. Ayun. If you have a crisis kasi, Jasmine, you know that you always look for somebody to blame, di ba? And the easiest to blame, of course, is government and government people. And you don't make any distinction at all. Government, therefore magnanakaw, therefore tamad, therefore walang alam, and therefore talagang bad guy na bad guy, walang puso. Oo. Witch na witch talaga. Oo. And itong mga taong ito. But if you look at them and you have met them and you see how equally hard they work, then perhaps they will also be appreciated, and we will add them to the pantheon of heroes whom we are bowing down and worshiping and praising to heavens. And at the end of the day, let us ask ourselves, what are we doing for our children? What have we done to our children? We are, Cambodia is open this month. And, I was in a webinar conducted by the UNESCO sometime last week, and we're already talking about futures education. Of futures education, and we are still fighting and squabbling and screaming and cursing over the opening of classes. And you already have this very interesting discussion about education futures. What will the future of education be like? Ako ang gusto ko na sanang sabihin, I'm more worried about what the present of education is going to be. But there are some comforts naman. Who of you are fans of June, the movie? Hindi ikaw, June Godoy. One thing I'm looking forward to, this December, I'm looking forward to Christmas, of course. I'm looking forward to settling down of the education, our education programs. But thirdly, I'm looking forward to the third version of the movie June, which is based, of course, on the series of Frank Herbert, which is compared to ibang opposite ng Lord of the Rings. And if you have not read June, D-U-N-E, I suggest that you read it, and there are very important lessons. It's an entire series na pipredict yung so at least there is some comfort. Malapit na, next week lalabas na yung trailer ng June. It's like when yung Lord of the Rings was highly touted and all that. I bought all the versions. I read every Christmas, basahin mo yung Lord of the Rings, and somehow you find comfort. Pero itong June, you'll really be very disturbed. That is, if it is faithful to the books. So kung hindi pa ninyo nabasa, I urge you to read it. So, but then, anyway, para when it comes out, at saka ilagay natin yan sa DepEd Commons yung June. Ang nandoon nakita ko yung the kite, the kite runner, na linagay sa DepEd Commons. So, doon. Let's naman salute our heroes. Have you read the book of Dick Joaquin, yung Question of Heroes? Question niya isa-isa yung ating mga accepted national heroes. Kung heroes nga ba talaga sila? Oo. And who are the real heroes here? Maybe we should also reflect on that. When all of this, when we will have settled down already. No. Sige, June, assignment mo yan. Basahin mo ang June. Ilang volumes yan? More than 10 volumes. Frank Herbert, 1965.
Ayun,
yung certification na na yon na predict na. As early as 1965 about planets na not a single drop of water. Anyway, bakit ba pinasok ko si June? It's because kapangalan mo, iba lang ang spelling. Sige.
Maraming salamat, ma'am. Ma'am, ang susunod na magtatanong po ay si Janvic Mateo ng Philippine Star. Go ahead, Janvic.
Morning po.
Hi.
Ay, afternoon na po. Hi, ma'am. Siguro po mas address dito kay Yusek Ann because specific on the budget proposal. But of course, ma'am, you can answer. I know you're very much aware and familiar with the specifics of the proposed budget. Yung question ko po is on the flexible learning materials. Kasi I remember, Yusek Ann, during your presentation last week, the original proposal of DepEd is very small compared to what was actually approved by the LTP. What happened po dun sa naging discussions? Bakit biglang tumaas to over 15 billion, if I'm not mistaken, yung sa flexible learning materials? And what are the specifics of where we're going to use this budget?
John Vic, mas magaling ang teacher kaysa sa estudyante. So, ako muna, but the teacher will...
babuhin ko yung grado mo.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Ayaw ko pong mangyari yun. So, John Vic, just a background, mas malaki talaga ang request namin. The 15 billion is the evaluation of the Department of Budget and Management, not because that's the only amount that they can give, but it also considers the limited resources na meron tayo. Siyempre, kung tutuusin, just to give you an information, we propose for 1 trillion pesos budget proposal of the Department of Education. But the total government only has 4.5 trillion as you have seen in my first slide. So kami naiintindihan namin, this is the requirement but the resources is not really enough. Kaya nga meron kami nakalagay ngayon sa unprogrammed fund. This is the first time in the Department of Education na meron kaming nakalinya sa unprogrammed fund. At ito yung paborito ni Ma'am Liling na i-explain sa inyo. Last week pa ay binigyan na kayo ng lecture about this. Balik ako doon sa tanong mo, yung learning resources need namin is bigger than the 15 billion that was given to us. Actually, we are requesting for 30 billion kasi 4 quarters ang kasama dito. So, binigyan pa ulit kami ng 5 billion para maging 20 billion yan. However, the 5 billion is in the unprogrammed fund. But it's a priority once new revenues, new loans, or new resources will come in. Yun yung nakalagay doon. But ang sabi ko nga rin, national government counterpart lang ito, Jadwick Maraming strategy para mapondohan ang edukasyon. Kasama ang local government, meron tayong SCF, kaya po closely coordinating din kami with the ILG, DBM, and all the local government units kasi kung mapaprioritize din natin yung SCF, malaki rin yung contribution para sa ating learning resources. At meron din tayong mga development partners at meron din tayong Brigada Eskwela. Isa pa sa ginagawa ngayon ng curriculum at ng Office of the Secretary ay yung pag-rationalize ng paggawa rin ng SLM. Right now, mabilisan yung pangyayari. We were only given 2 to 3 months to prepare for this. At pag sinabi mo nga mabilisan, yung value for money, yung demand and supply na sinasabi ni Secretary nung previous press con, mas mahal. Kasi kailangan mo na ngayon. Parang rush work. Kung kailangan mo ngayon, mas mahal. Pero if we will prepare for the next school year and we have the budget right now, mas makakagawa tayo ng paraan na bumaba ang cost at mas maganda yung magiging packaging dito. That's the reason why with the budget that we have for now, ay gumagawa na kami ng mga policies and collaboration with all the stakeholders para maging mas maganda ang quality, mas mabilis na mapoproduce, at mas mababa ang presyo na kalalabasan. Yun, ma'am.
Sige, ikaw muna, Nepo, and then ako, I will also add my own.
Well, the short answer really is next year is a continuation of the learning continuity plan, and this FLOs, when the NEP was done, was the pre-COVID pa noong submit dyan. At yan dati ay nasa alternative delivery modes at saka alternative learning system lamang. But this year, with the adjustment in the budget for the current year, ay dyan hinaus itong learning continuity plan with all the adjustments. And for all intents, next year, fiscal year will still cover the third and fourth quarters of the LCP. The second half of the what you call this, of the 2020-2021, and the budgets that were provided to the ground is really for just the first and second quarter. So we still have the third and fourth quarter under the FLOs, and really we don't know yet what the situation will be in the next school year. I mean, we don't know how COVID would be. So probably the distance learning option will still be a feature as a response to COVID even for the next school year. But we also stated that the delivery of education will not return to what it used to be even post-COVID. I think there will be some of the innovations that are being adopted now will become a feature also of how education is delivered even post-COVID. Thank you.
Dagdag lang, this is at another level. You know, during our press conferences, we are very frank and candid with you. We tell you as much as we can because that is our obligation. But we also wonder how much of it really goes out and reaches the intended recipients of this news. Maybe 1 hour of discussions ends up with and competes with other concerns. Kung ilan lang ang lalabas, but we exert so much. We really exert a lot of effort. Anyway, from another level, tama si Nepo at saka si Yusek on this issue. But from sa pinakamataas na policy level, when we were, alam mo yung learning continuity plan, parang 1 month lang siguro yun, Nepo, paggawa nun, kasi we were perhaps at that time the only and the earliest, no, pag-declare ng pandemic, kaagad ng learning continuity plan because we did not want we wanted learning to continue. Tapos nag-isip na ng mga methodologies. That was very wide debate, mga 1 or 2 months of debate yan within the department. Ngayon, we are all advocates of knowledge-based decisions. And so, tinignan natin, what does the landscape look like? Nakita natin na, for example, how many millions of cell phones are there? How many millions of televisions are there? How many millions of teachers have laptops and desktops and cell phones, which I myself have seen. So, ang assumption, ang thinking namin, that kasi yung combination nga ng online TV, radio, etc., there would be a substantial and quite substantial demand for online because we like to think that we are already experts in online, or our children know ilang cell phones nila, our teachers have ilang cell phones, they have their desktops, they have their laptops, they're carrying them all around in various colors, etc., etc. So, one can draw the conclusion na pag mag-online ka sa delivery, obra yan because people are not exactly ignorant about online or about ICT. So, ang assumption is that there will really be a demand for it. I thought, kasi ang concentration itong all of these gadgets and all these new things, pati yung number ng smartphones, nakuha namin yan, kung ilang milyong smartphones are floating around, sabi namin, obra ang online. Now, nung nag-survey na sa enrollment, so comes enrollment. Sa enrollment, tinanong yung parents at yung mga bata kung anong preference nila. Kasi sabi namin, we will adjust to the preference where everyone is comfortable with. Ay lumabas ay modular. I was a bit surprised, especially in NCR, because I thought at the rate all the kids are playing with their cell phones, and the teachers are into Facebook how many hours a day, into Twitter and all the songs, the dramas, the jokes, etc., circulating all the articles going around in social media, that there would be a big demand. Ang nangyari doon, halos hati-hati for more, which, as I said, surprised me, especially for NCR. Even NCR wanted modular, which means printed. Now, between gadgets and printed, in the long run, mas mahal ang printed. At saka mas komplikado. Kasi you go through the very complicated procurement process and so on and so forth. At saka ang cost is very much higher. That is, at least that's what I learned from USICAN. Mas mahal ang printed. And that, of course, as I said, affected, of course, our budget. And so what made me realize, Jan Vic, is that siguro right now, even as we are always playing with our smartphones and exchanging jokes and gossip and stories and scandals and lies and curses, that is how we look at the usefulness of all these gadgets, not necessarily for learning, but all these online things, all these ICT things for learning, parang hindi masyadong sa consciousness ng tao. For Filipinos, learning is still modular. Yun ang lumabas. Na maski na sabihin mo, the entire country is the texting capital of the world, you can text, etc., as long as mayroon kang connectivity. Pero you cannot, they are not thinking in terms of texting learning. Or testing who wrote this series, this really fantastic series of books named Dune, or who wrote The Lord of the Rings. Hindi not necessarily yun ang iba mga recipe, ano bang kinain mo kanina, sinong nakita mo, mga ganon. We don't look at it as a tool for education. And kaya nga, remember last time, June as in June Godoy, I said na we are having a communications challenge na to emphasize to our learners, to emphasize to our teachers, our executives, that online, all these gadgets are also for transmitting education and learning, and not only for gossip and fake news, or for movies which I like, or for music which I really love, or for YouTube, or for Netflix. So that is an aspect which I, at my level, realized. You may have how many millions, has been natin, 87% of our teachers have gadgets, actually, have tablets, and they have tablets, they have computers, and you say how many millions of people have smartphones, and how many millions of people watch TV, but they don't look at it as education. At saka sabihin mo, bakit hindi niya nakita, etc. When you only have how many months to do it, yung convincing side, yung sabi ko, bringing in the parents to cooperate, bringing in the local governments to cooperate even more, or bringing in the DepEd family to cooperate even more and perhaps let go of their suspicions. sabay-sabay mo yan lahat gagawin in a few months time when one half of your staff is on skeleton and etc. So ayun I finally nakita ko yan when Yusek Ann was telling me mas mahal ang modular. Sabi ko, paano yan? Dahil ang assumption natin, ang initial expense sa Janvic sa halimbawa for Manila alone, yung pamigay nila ng gadgets for how many thousand learners and how many thousand teachers. That's 1.2 billion. Kaya nga sabi ko nga sa NEDA, if once we open our schools, the impact on the economy will be that much. Ngayon, lahat nagsasabi, it's nearly impossible to buy a computer at this time. Because aside from what the schools will be giving, the children want their very own computers as well. They want their very own cell phones, kailangan smartphone, etc. Ang ganon. Ang hirap daw ngayon bumili talaga. So, may effect yun ang magbe-benefit nitong input sa economy sa ating will all be the transactions on the gadgets and the printing of the modules, kaya yung demand ng paper, etc. etc. So I ask for your cooperation. I ask for your help in the media to place perhaps greater emphasis on the usefulness of all these wonderful gadgets which the future and the present is providing us to share learning, to communicate learning, to communicate facts and truth. And of course it's still fun. I love watching all the movies. I love reading all the books. I love listening to the music. And if I have a chance, kung somebody drops by me and we talk about ballet, I always insist, hi, have you watched Spartacus? Which probably will take time to be shown in the Philippines because the cast here, panay lalaki yung Spartacus. It's very moving, very powerful. Ang ganda ng music ni Kachaturian, sabihin ko yan. But beyond that, as learning, teaching of mathematics or of science, hindi pa accepted. And that will take time. And it will take more than your usual 6 months. Yun ang ko from where I am, and I saw it only when we were already discussing costs and the budget. Kaya nagulat ako na ganun kalaki. Ilang millions yun, Yusek Ann, ang ating estimate for the reading materials at saka yung paper. So yun, that's part of the explanation as to how you get it out when you make your report, Janvic. That is the challenge. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Follow up na lang po on
mahabang answer because that is the function of education. Make people think, mag-isip, and not just accept what is given, and then yun, like as I said, because everybody is using cell phones and they have hundreds of millions of people using tablets, etc., including our teachers, our learners, does not mean that they will prefer it. Kasi nung lumabas sa survey, gusto pa rin nilang modular. That is what came out. That is part of the explanation, in addition to the valid explanations of NEPO and Yusek Ann. Kaya na-serious to si June dahil may communications, na naman siya, project. Okay.
Follow up na lang po on regarding sa upcoming House deliberations on the proposed budget. Are there specific items that we would request na sana idagdag sa budget ng DepEd? I understand na meron tayong unprogrammed funds, but at least based on the explanation ni Yusek and sa naintindihan ko, hindi ito assured. It would be based on whether we have additional loans or mataas na revenue. Meron po bang mga specific items doon sa nasa unprogrammed funds that we would prefer na ilagay na talaga ng mga lawmakers doon sa actual budget?
Ma'am, very good na estudyante si John Vic. Kasi alam na niya yung next move natin. That is actually what we will also appeal to Congress, na kung po pwede from unprogrammed fund ay ilipat sa program fund para mas assured kami that all of the items that you have seen, I listed all the programs na nasa unprogrammed fund are all very important. The voucher program, the learning resources, the provision of electricity to our learners in some areas. These are all important. So ang una, priority, alam namin nasaan program fund, baka pwedeng ilipat sa program fund. And then the others will be some of the benefits that were given to our teachers but unfortunately are not included in the 2021 NEP. For example, the annual medical exam, the secretary is about to issue a 500 peso per teacher. Although this is very small, pag kasi kinumpit mo to, John V, 500 pesos per teacher is equivalent to 500 million in DepEd. So sana ma-include din. At saka yung every year na binibigay na rin ng Secretary, yung World Teachers Day incentive, that's 1,000 pesos per teacher. So that's equivalent to 1 billion as well. Yung aming cash allowance for the teacher is still at 3,500. So ito yung sumasagot sa mga ibang pangangailangan ng teacher. And it's up to Congress, actually. Pag tinatanong kami, sinasabi namin na ito yung mga nakapasok dyan. But of course, pagka dinivide mo by 10 months na nagtuturo ang teacher, 3,500 is equivalent to 350 per month. So these are the things na hindi siya nakasama. But alam naman natin, pag kami pinasok ka, mayroong mawawalan. At yon ang politics ng budget. At yan ang kagalingan din kung bakit ako ay natuto sa NCPAG through Secretary Liling Briones na talagang kailangan balansehin ang lahat. Kasi if you want something to be added funding, sino naman ang mawawalan at sino ang mawawala doon sa priority. So yun po, right now, yun po yung gagawin natin. But nag-post planning na kami, Jan Vic, for information of everyone. With this level of budget, ay gumagawa na kami ng prioritization, gumagawa na tayo ng strategy, para sabi nga natin yung hindi na pondohan ngayong taon na ito ay maumpisahan na ngayon pa lamang. Kagaya ng minimum health standard, communication, internet connection, ay isasama natin doon sa kung ano man ang meron tayo sa level na to. Prioritization is the key and collaboration is another one. Thank you.
Just want to clarify. So
Actually, Jan Vic, we are conflicted in the Department of Education because we understand the financial situation of the national government. Kasi right now, the budgets of the various departments, yung mga proposed nila, have to be reduced kasi the government is avoiding dependence on external sources. So saan na yan nakuha? Like Bayanihan 1, nagko-contribute yung mga different agencies from their budgets. Pero binalik naman kung they have Bayanihan expenses. So yun din ang nangyayari dito. Kasi balansehin mo din yan. The other option, of course, is to go to your famous stimulus fund. And that the stimulus fund that has very of course that maraming implications yan, no, which was resorted to in earlier administrations, and the impacts of which we are still feeling right now. Kaya conflicted kami in the sense that we understand, we know the very tough decisions that the Department of Budget and Management has to make, because they want to rein in dependence, for example, on external sources. kitang-kita may preference for internally generated sources. And that there is a reason for that. So kami, as department, of course, we want more. We want more because gano'n naman ang law sa economics. The resources given to you are never enough, no. But at the same time, we are aware that the government also has to be very prudent and careful in the terms of the overall impact of a budget for this year. In the light of the pandemic, and you can appreciate the pressure that government is exerting on various agencies and even all of us na to contribute to the economy. Pag mag-open up ng economy, there is a risk, pero let us follow all the health things so that we can open up the economy and create more jobs. Ang laki ng impact yan sa education, as I said. Ang laki din ng contribution ng education in terms of this economic growth, and it also explains our anxiety and our insistence and persistence about continuing education. It's not of course, ang pinaka-importante yung the students. Ayaw nating maiwanan ng ating learners, but at the same time, we know that education is a major player in the economy, and anyone can see that. Just look at the size of the budget itself. Oo. Sige. Na-lecturean tuloy si John Vic.
Lecture, ma'am.
How much of that will come out in your write-up? About
the budget, ma'am. Alam ni Yusek Ann. Yusek Ann, yung mention kasi na internet and communication. Just to clarify lang, is this internet and communication expenses, may naka-lodge po ba na budget? For allowance ba ito ng teachers or mas communication and internet ng schools? Just to clarify.
Yes, thank you for that question, John V. Kasi yung pagbigay ng allowance is not in the hands of DepEd. The allowances are authorized through a law or through a policy ng Civil Service, DBM at COA. At sinare ko naman sa inyo na sumulat na kami sa 3 ahensya na ito na gusto man natin nabigyan ang mga teachers ay hindi kami allowed. Dahil ang allowances ay kailangan merong basis, may legal basis. So right now, ang communication namin is treated as an expense. So kailangan nating magkaroon ng procurement o kaya may mga resibo o kaya ay talagang parte ng programa. Pero bilang allowance ay kami ay limited sa kung ano yung bibigay sa amin na authorization. But as an update, as I told you, officially sumulat na kami sa COA, sa DBM, at nagkakaroon na po ng meetings between and among these agencies. Ang good news dito, hindi lang DepEd ang makikinabang, buong gobyerno. Kasi nagbago na ang transaksyon, nagbago na ang paggawa ng pagtrabaho ng mga tao sa gobyerno. Kagaya nitong virtual meeting na to, hindi to kasama sa expenses na plano ng gobyerno. Pero ang mga empleyado ay sarili-sariling gumagawa o gumagasta at their own houses, di ba, ng mga internet connection and other expenses. Ang isa pang naging problema dyan, yung policy na meron tayo ngayon ay nagre-require na mag-travel ang mga empleyado para maka-reimburse ka. Hindi ka nga lalabas So, ano ngayon ang basis ng reimbursement? So, ito ay yung mga polisiya na amin na pong pinagpaalam sa mga ahensya na sana ay magkaroon ng bagong polisiya para dito.
Salamat po.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, John Vic. Maraming salamat, ma'am. Ang susunod po na magtatanong dito ay si Meg Adonis ng Philippine Daily Inquirer. Meg?
Hi, good afternoon po. I would like to ask an update lang po about the computerization program. It was mentioned before na 93% na daw po ang may gadgets. Paano na po ang distribution nito sa last mile schools, yung last 7% schools po nationwide? Thank you po.
I think, Meg, the best person to answer that would be Yusek Elaine Pasqua, but unfortunately, wala siya dito. But we'll send the response as soon as possible. We'll take note of your question. Yep. Is there any other?
Yung sa last mile schools, we talk about computerization, di ba? So that means gadgets, that means connectivity. Karamihan ng mga last mile schools, wala silang connectivity. O kung mayroon man, worse than what we have in the urban places. Problema yung connectivity. Kaya nga ang proposal nga namin, kami ni Yusek Elaine, alam ito ni Yusek Ann, sinabi namin sa Secretary of Finance na itong sa mga last mile schools, mas mabisa ang radyo. At saka kung radyo, hindi yung mga luma niyang patapon na radyo na hindi na umaandar na ipamimigay. Ang sinasuggest namin, una, it has to be solar powered. Dahil wala namang kuryente itong mga last mile schools. Kaya yung computerization program will not be all that effective. Parang yun na ang given. Tapos pangadalawa ay kailangan waterproof. Dahil may ulan, may baha, may lindol sa mga lugar na ito. Pangatlo, mayroong certain level of yung hindi ko to alam, yung mga specifics, hindi lang yung maliliit na radyo na nakikita natin na tagwa 100 pesos, pero yung mga makakatanggap naman at ng mga lessons na i-share natin. So we have a special program for the last mile schools, lalo na yung walang connectivity. Kasi yung computerization program hindi makaobra, will not work unless may mga lugar, halimbawa in Sarangani sa isla or in Siliman, may mga lugar na naka-workout sila na pwede kang mag-transmit without a platform, whatever. Hindi ko yan alam, basta mayroong mga innovations ang ginagawa. Pero largely, ang nakikita namin, radyo pa rin, but not your ordinary second-hand radyo na hingi tayo ng contributions. Kailangan din naman yung something which will last. At saka hindi lamang may radyo ang pupil, pati ang teacher dapat meron. At saka mayroong transmission facilities. So, sa mga municipalities, etc. At saka ang laki ng tulong dito ng local governments. Dito malaki ang papel ng local governments pag set up ng radio facilities to the last mile schools. But really, thank you for caring for the last mile schools and your interest. Hindi namin sila binibitiwan. They're always in our mind. So ayun, it's more radio dahil nga sa connectivity, mag-computerization program ka. Kung wala namang connectivity, then it will not work at all. Okay. So that's our answer.
Right. Thanks, Meg. Meg, may baka kamang katanungan?
That would be all po, sir, since nasagot na po yung ibang questions earlier. Thank you po.
Alright, thanks, Meg. Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, ang susunod ay si Bons Magsambol ng Rappler po. Bons?
Good afternoon po, Secretary. Siguro this question will be addressed to Yusek Dads. Is he available?
Yeah, Yusek Dads is there. Nakita ko smiling as always.
Okay.
By the way, awarded yan ng civil service. As an outstanding civil servant.
And baka this has been addressed in previous pressers, pero para lang siguro, baka na-miss ko to or para lang siguro ma-refresh na din. Kasi marami po mga nagtatanong na magulang as well as mga students na din. What subjects will be taught this year po ba? May pagbabago po ba? Will there be changes?
Bons?
Opo.
Good afternoon, Ma'am Ling. Good afternoon, everyone. Wala po tayong binawas na subjects. Gawa natin yung mga learning competencies sa mga learning areas ang ni-review natin at nabawasan nga as already announced, 40% lang ng ating existing learning competencies ang ituturo ngayon. So we will still proceed with all the learning areas. Pero na-monitor namin na may mga kanya-kanyang strategy ang mga local field units natin, mga division offices, mga paaralan, katulad nung mga pinag-uusapan namin a long time ago pa internally. Kasi pwede kasi na hindi sa isang araw 8 subject ulit ang bata. Pwede kasing pwedeng 2, pero basta ang pagkatapos ng isang markahan, isang grading period, na-cover na nila itong iba-ibang learning areas na ito. So yung mga ganon, pinayagan niya ng aming tanggapan because we really have to be very flexible. In fact, may na-monitor kaming isang division na 4 lang muna per month. Ang ibig sabihin nito, magagamit ng 2 bata ang printed self-learning modules. Kung nag-decide silang 2 lang, ang maaaralin ng bawat bata sa isang linggo, pwede rin yun. Basta sinasabi na in a grading period, i-cover yung 8, pero yung strategy, kanya-kanya sila.
Okay. So just to be clear, wala pong mababago kung ano yung mga subjects nila pre-pandemic, yun pa rin yung gagamitin natin ngayon sa kasalukuyan na taon. Tama po ba?
Yes, Bones. Pero alibawa, yung ELE ay may mga adjustments na gagawin kasi may mga gawain talaga ang bata na kailangan nandun sa school. So itong po ang mga pinag-uusapan pa kung paano mas mabisang mai-deliver competencies na may kailangan yung mga demo classes na yan at actual performance of certain tasks na may mga equipment na kailangan. Ito yung sabi natin ay talagang gagawaan ng mga estratehiya na ang competencies ay natututunan pa rin. So walang babaguhin, walang inalis na learning area. Ang inawasan yung competencies kasi nakatuon tayo ngayon sa most essential learning competencies. Ito yung foundational competencies, yung mga kailangan para maging lifelong learners sila at makakwalify para ma-promote sa next grade dating ng susunod na pasukan.
Okay po. Thank you po, Yusek Dads. Okay. For my next question po, siguro kay Yusek Ann. Hello po.
Present.
Apo. Ayun, Yusek Ann, good afternoon. Ayun, tanong ko lang din kasi parang dun sa presentation yun ng budget kanina, parang may nakita ko na naka-allot for the feeding program. I'm just curious lang din po, paano po kaya mangyayari yung feeding program and then may allotted budget tayo given na everything will be done remotely or distance learning. So paano po kaya magkakaroon po ba ng sort of ayuda to mga estudyante?
Yes, Bon. So very important din yung question mo. Pati ang feeding program ay nagkaroon ng adjustment. Ibig sabihin, we have to customize. Kasama yan sa kung paano natin ginawa yung learning delivery, pati ang feeding program ay magkakaroon din ng customized implementation. Meron tayong Exicom lead na in charge sa ating feeding program. Ito rin ay pinapamahalaan ng isang opisina sa ating Department of Education. Meron din pong na-issue na bagong guidelines kung paano ito gagawin. Kung dati nagluluto ang mga teacher, mga magulang, tapos ang mga bata habang nasa eskwelahan ay kumakain, ngayon ay ito ay i-deliver sa mga bahay. Depende sa public health situation ng ating mga eskwelahan. So kung ano po yung compliant with the minimum health standard, yun ang gagawin natin. Kung meron naman po na coordination with the local government units, some of them already had a MOA, nagkaroon na ng memorandum of agreement kung paano ito i-deliver at saka i-implement. So wala pong isang modelo kung paano gagawin, Bons. Pareho ito ng learning continuity plan natin na nagkakaroon ng consultation sa mga magulang, sa local government unit, at kung paano mapagpapatuloy. Right now sa Pangasinan, nakakita ako ng kahit hindi pa ho nagsisimula ang pasukan ay nagpamigay na ho ng gatas at ng tinapay. Meron po tinatawag sila ngayon na Nutriban. Nung araw, di ba, meron tayong Nutriban mamliling. Inano po yan ngayon, ni-revive. at magbibigay po tayo kasi sabi nga ni Ma'am Liling, hindi natin pwede pabayaan ang mga kabataan, lalo na yung kasama sa aming programa na feeding program. Ang isa pa sa challenges ngayon ay yung pag-monitor sa kanila kasi sila nga ay nasa mga bahay nila. So kasagdagdag ito sa mga administrative function na nakasalalay ngayon sa Department of Education. But siguro, Bon, sa susunod na mga press con namin, ay ito naman yung i-feature namin para magkaroon tayo ng pagkakataon na matanong in details yung iba pa mga tanong ninyo about this program. Right now, yun pa lang ang masishare ko. Kasi
Okay.
yung pala yung aprubahan ni Secretary Liling Briones, yung mga adjustment. But definitely, tuloy. Kaya nga, meron tayong 1.7, if I'm not mistaken, na mga beneficiaries ng school feeding program natin.
All right. Thank you so much, Bons. Next po ay si Dante Amante ng UNTV. Dante, go ahead.
Sino?
Si Dante Amante ng UNTV, ma'am. Okay.
Yes. Dante's Inferno. In
Go
the
ahead, Dante.
original.
Dante, nakamute ka ata.
Walang sound.
Ay, sorry po.
Yun.
Maayong hapon, Secretary. Magandang hapon po sa lahat.
Kumusta?
Ilang ma'am. Ang tanong ko po is itong, gusto ko lang malaman kung bakit po itong budget ng pag-hire po natin ng mga additional personnel po, lumaki ng 90.42% yung budget, considering po na 1,000 lang naman ang i-hire natin, the same po nitong 2020. Siguro kayo sa po.
10,000 po yun, Sir Dante, hindi 1,000. 10,000
Yes,
positions.
Apo, 10,000 and then nitong 2020, 10,000 din po, ma'am?
Yes, and there was an increase, not a decrease. Nag-increase po ang
Increase.
budget for allocation of new teaching positions.
Tumaas po siya ng, ilan po itinaas, ma'am? 9,000?
Next year, we will have 10,000 new teaching positions. It's the same as what we have this year. Meron din kaming bagong 10,000 new positions.
Yes, ma'am. Ang question ko po kasi is, ang budget nila is tumaas po ng halos 90% po. Ano pong pinag-iba niyan, ma'am? Bakit po mas mataas ang budget nitong next year po?
Dante, baka ano na lang, you have my number, we can call each other. Baka iba lang yung
Yusek?
slide mo. Oo, sige.
Yusek na hindi ka, di ba sa kwan yun, salary adjustment?
Hindi ko nga rin maano kung anong slide ni Dante eh. Slide number ano, Dante? Kasi para magkaintindihan tayo.
Opo. Itong, ano ba ito? Wait lang ha. 6. Opo, ma'am.
Dante, slide number 6, new school personnel.
Opo, ma'am. Yung
Okay.
budget po.
Oo. Yung budget kasi may kasamang salary increase. Na-aprobahan kasi na every year for the next 3 years, naku, I'm not sure, baka next 4 years, ay merong budget increase or may salary increase ang mga guro. So habang nagke-create ka ng mga position, tumataas din yung kanilang mga salaries, allowances, benefits. At meron pong nakalagay dyan na pera para po, kung mag-hire ka kasi next year, iba na yung salary grade. Tapos, meron din po kasama rito yung sweldo ng mga bagong hire mo ngayong taon na to. So, meron po kami hinahire ngayon, 10,000. Kasama po siya sa next year, kaya siya nagiging parang doble. Dahil meron ka nang create ngayon na 10,000, meron ka pang bagong makikreate next year.
Okay. Other question po, yung para teachers na nabanggit ni Secretary Liling nung nakaraan, may update na po ba tayo and ilan po yung i-hire nating para teachers na mag-serve as tutors po natin.
Yeah, Yusek Jess Mateo probably has details on this, Dante.
Yeah, Dante, yung guidelines pa rin, pina-finalize. Patapos na, no? Patapos na yung guidelines natin on the hiring of para teachers. So that's the update pa rin. Once masign yan, we will disseminate it to the field. Thank you.
Last question na lang po, parang follow-up na lang po, clarification. Pwede po ko bang masabi na kaya tumaas yung ating proposed budget dahil sa computerization program and then dito sa mga learning materials na gagamitin, lalo na mga printed modules? Tama po ba?
Dante, tumaas ang budget natin. Una, dahil may dagdag na sweldo because of the salary standardization law. Nandiyan ang about 1 million na mga DepEd employees. Kami ang pinakamalaki sa buong gobyerno. 800,000 dyan ay mga guro, ang iba ay mga non-teaching or teaching-related position. Pangalawa, may 4 billion na increase sa DepEd computerization program. Meron din kami 15 billion na increase para sa learning resources. At yung iba pang mga detalye ay nasa slide 7 ng ating briefing. Thank you.
Salamat po. Salamat, Secretary. Mayong hapon.
All right, thank you so much, Yusek Ann and Dante. We have last three from our friends in the media po, but I would like to ask them to ask just one question each kasi we're running out of time. Sorry, I skipped Marian pala Enriquez of TV5. Marian, go ahead.
Hi, sir.
Yep.
Good afternoon po. My question po would be regarding nga po dito sa second tranche of our salary increase para sa ating mga teachers. No, good news po ito. Pero question lang po, doon sa 10,000 po na ngayon na positions po, ilan po kaya yung may mga nag-apply from private schools? Ma'am? Meron po ba tayong update on that?
Yes, nasa, ayan, tama si Yusek Jess. Nasa regional office po yan. Sige, Yusek Jess.
Yeah, so far wala pa tayo kasi ongoing yung selection, no? Kung maalala nyo, yung hiring nito nag-start pa way back in as early as March yata, no? Tapos while waiting for the slots itself. So we will know later on kung ilan yung nag-apply from the private school. I hope you don't mind. Thank you.
Sorry.
Dagdag ko lang na information, even before COVID, even before the pandemic, I already warned 1 year pa lang ako, less than a year, na may migration kaming napapansin from the private sector to the public sector. And ang isa sa pinakaano na reason is yung gap ng salaries and benefits ng public school teacher vis-a-vis the private school teacher. Ang nangyayari kasi, pag pumapasa na sila sa ating teacher examinations, nag-a-apply ka agad sa public school. So, yun ang pinoint out ko. Pero siyempre, ang daming nagalit, minura ako, etc. Liling sinungaling, liling teliling. Pero yun ang katotohanan. Sinabi ko na dapat tingnan yung sitwasyon na yan. Hindi naman kami ang ang solusyon yan na lumalawak ang gap ng mga private school teachers vis-a-vis the public school teachers. Nakita ko yan dahil naglibot kasi ako sa mga schools. Bumibisita ako ng private schools at saka public schools. Yung gap na yan, if I may say so, hindi ko ito teritoryo, also exists in health na sinasabi nga din, recognize na mayroon ding moral issue sa ating mga frontliners na nasa private hospitals vis-a-vis those who are in the public hospitals. Even as we say na underpaid yung nasa public, mukhang ang private sector people have that problem as well. So wala bang COVID issue na yan. Ang inaasahan lang natin na kung mag-aano ng economy, kung mag-improve ng economy, makahabol ang mga private schools at may gagawin naman sila tungkol sa mga salaries ng kanilang mga tauhan at saka benefits. Kasi doon nagtatalo sa sa benefits. Saka tanungin mo yung average na gustong magturo o gustong magtrabaho bilang teacher, ang tendency talaga ay sasabihin nila na nakikita nila na mayroong gap, and that gap might increase if there are no policy solutions worked out. Yun.
Maraming salamat, ma'am. And,
Sorry, sir, last lang.
okay, go ahead.
Sorry. Clarify ko lang po yung teacher-student ratio. Kasi po, NCR Regional Director Sir Malcolm Garma said po na 47,557 classes ang organized based on enrollment. So ang average class size po for elementary is 45, sa junior high 45, 41 sa senior high. So paano po natin to gagawin? Clarify ko lang, tama po ba kung 1:35 po apat ang ideal? Sorry.
Yeah.
Baka Malcolm.
Yes.
Si Yusek
ma'am?
just...
Si Malcolm
yes,
muna.
Yan.
Si Director Malcolm kasi NCR yung nire-refer.
Yes. Well, we deem it necessary to really include doon sa readiness matrix namin yung determination ng class sizes natin given the enrollment figures natin. So the reason why we would like to consider this because we want to know how the classes will be managed now, given that we are using the different modality, which is the distance learning. So right now, lang ito, straight organizing lang ito. So dinidivide muna natin in terms of the number of classes that we would like to organize in each school. Tapos based on the total number of students, ilan ngayon ang magiging laman per class. So doon naman sa teacher ratio, if you observe in our data, the teacher ratio is lower than the average class size because there are some grade levels na hindi naman talaga 1:1 yung teacher natin. But for example, in the higher grade learners, hindi lang isang teacher ang hahawak ng klase natin. So in the absence of any established parameter or class on class sizes on how to organize our classes now that we are in the distance learning, so yan lang muna yung ginagawa namin. So straight arithmetic lang yan, and then straight averaging lang yan. Now when classes start, titingnan natin ngayon kung ano ang epekto nito doon sa dalawang consideration natin dito, So one is the effectiveness of the learning, given like for example, if you are handling 45 students or if they're in a class there are 45 learners, ano yung effectiveness ng learning dito? And at the same time, we would like to see also what is the effect of this in terms of the workload, or the working hours of our teacher. So yun yung reason why we include that, and I think this is very important for us in terms of really preparing our classes for October 5. Thank you, Director Ju.
Additional observation. There are schools, and we have to recognize it, which attract more students even if they already have di ba at the beginning of the school year, Malcolm, nadidetermine na yun kung how many students per class, per teacher, per grade, ganon. Pero nag-i-exceed yan. Ibigay ko yung example, I don't know if I should mention Manila, for example. There are schools there na naka-determine na yun kung how many learners they should have, pero nakikiawa yung parents na kailangan i-admit yung anak nila. And ako, I have experience na pinapadalhan pa ako ng sa Facebook na yung bata kumakanta o maawit na pwede bang papasokin siya doon. Manila has become quite attractive, So maski na may ano ka, and may mga schools talagang ganon na linalapitan ng mga estudyante, ng mga learners na far beyond the ano. So siguro hahanapin niya ng solusyon kasi kung sobrang dami na, hindi bale na kung isang extra student lang, ay kung medyo marami-rami, may mga eskwelahang ganon ang ugali for one reason or another. I will not say it kasi I'm just it's my own analysis kung bakit may mga schools na attract ng through no fault of their own. Hindi naman yun nangangampanya yung mga teachers na ang dami talagang pumupunta sa isang particular school, sa isang particular location, sa isang particular na city. Tsaka makaproduce naman sila ng documentation na taga roon sila o pinanganak sila doon. Yun. So, masisettle siguro ito, Malcolm, pag ano na, yung more or less umaandar na yung mga klase natin at makikita yung distribution at saka baka kailangan mag-open ng additional classes, yung ganon dahil dumadami. Meron namang iba, tama-tama lang. Meron iba kulang. Tapos nagagalit naman yung parents kung ilipat isang bata sa school na kulang ng estudyante. Yung bang hindi pa na-fill up yung quota dahil gusto nila talaga a particular school or a particular place, yung mga ganon. Tapos, yun, nagkakaroon tayo ng challenge dyan. So even if you have the policy, there is pressure also to adjust that policy in the light of current developments. I can tell you which schools are very attractive at this time, and yun.
Right. Thank you so much,
Sir,
ma'am.
sorry. Pwedeng as a follow-up?
I think that's sige, last one.
Sorry talaga. For you, Sec, Anne, and pwede rin po kay Sec. As of July 2020 po, you mentioned in your presentation that 10,000 po ang allocated na positions and around 9,700 positions po were created but only 250 positions po ang na-fill up pa lang. Ma'am, siguro my question would be, ano po ba yung mga challenges natin? Kakarampot pa lang po yung ating dito yung na-fill up po na positions and our message and of encouragement na sa teachers to join us.
Yeah, ma'am, with your permission and Director June, yung pong pag-fill up ng teacher position natin was also affected by the COVID. Alam naman natin na since March ay nagkaroon tayo ng skeletal forces. Pero hindi po kami nagsara din ng hiring. Unti-unti rin po ay ginagawa siya, kaya nga po importante rin na nakabukas ang aming mga division offices, regional offices, open din at continuing ang transaction. But there is really the challenge on how we do the usual procedure in hiring the teachers. Kasi meron silang demonstration, meron din silang mga pag-submit ng mga papel, etc. But probably Yusek Jess, who's in charge of filling up a position, can better expound on this. Hindi lang kasi ganun kadali yung ating proseso. Meron din tong ranking na tinatawag. So, over to you, Yusek Jess, para mas diretso na.
Thank you, Yusek Ann. Una, tatanong ko lang, saan kaya na data na nakita yung 250 lang na-fill up? Pero just the same, tama si Yusek Ann, naapektuhan tayo ng pagsara.
Slide 10, doon sa ating presentation kanina. It was from the plan.
Nag-con yun kasi may mga interview nga, kagaya sinabi ni Yusek Ann, na sa katunayan nga yung mga division offices natin, kasi doon po yung level ng hiring po, ang superintendent na nag-appoint niyan, tapos po papadala pa yan sa civil service for attestation. Ang ginagawa po nila para lang mapabilis, minsan na meron sila na virtual interview na ginagawa. Ang problema lang, pagdating nga doon sa malalayong lugar, yung iba po na mga teachers natin, wala namang access to internet. Kailangan po ngayon yung face-to-face, pero hindi nga pwedeng face-to-face. So yung mga challenges po, naapektuhan po tayo. Salamat po. Pero tuloy-tuloy pa rin po yung hiring natin.
Yes, you suggest, explain ko rin kasi nasa slide 10 siya. ang ibig sabihin kasi ng position filled up ay na-issuehan siya ng Civil Service Commission ng appointment. At yun yung matagal talaga sa proseso. Pero yung 9,640 ay open na siya at nagkakaroon na dito ng ang tinatawag namin ay deployment. Ibig sabihin, continuing ang hiring, na-select, nagkaroon ng assignment. Yung iba sa kanila nagsisimula na nga kahit wala pa yung appointment ng civil service. Pero para mapunta sila doon sa category na positions filled up, ay iniintay namin yung appointment from the civil service. So minsan yung number na yon, importante, nakikita nyo ko konti lang yung na-fill upan, pero meron na talagang na-hire at meron ng selection dyan. Yung definition siguro, ang kailangan talagang i-stress na meron pong procedure doon.
Siguro, we should take, someone has to take the initiative of studying the, a process study natin yan, a time and motion kung yung journey ng isang papel, ng isang nag-a-apply bilang para teacher or bilang volunteer teacher, at saka gaano ka tagal ang ng proseso at pag-isipan kung paano mapabilis yung proseso na yan. Kasi kung applicant ka, siyempre mag-isip ka rin ng ibang mga options kung saan ka rin mag-a-apply samantalang kung wala pang resulta. At saka sa tingin ko, considering nakailang press ko na tayo, napakaano yung interest nitong para teachers at saka volunteer teachers. Lumilitaw uli itong question na ito. Ibig sabihin, interesado siguro ang publiko. So, it might be useful kung reviewin natin, you suggest yung proseso, as I said, yung journey ng papel bago siya makarating at mag-end up as a piece of paper announcing your appointment. Dahil kailangan naman talaga natin ang dito, ang nag-pressure dito, ang pinanggalingan nito, ang pangangailangan ng teacher. Dahil bago, iba yung ating learning methodology ngayon. Nag-iba yung ating ways of teaching. So, kailangan natin ng additional teachers at therefore, kailangan ding mapabilis yung ating pag-process ng appointments and especially tatlong agencies ang involved dito, DBM, DepEd, and Civil Service. So, ayun.
Just to say, under the new pandemic na, kailangan talagang pag-aralan pa natin. Kasi in the past, ma'am, na-shorten na po natin yung proseso. But given this pandemic, madaming mga challenges. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, maraming salamat, Yusek Jess. Thank you so much, Marian. Second to the last, ma'am, na magtatanong si Pauline Versosa ng CNN. Pauline?
Good afternoon po.
Good afternoon. Go ahead. Yep.
My question po is for Sec Briones na lang po. Ma'am, may we ask for a message na lang po to private school teachers naman, private school teachers and students who have been doing distance learning, pero ang daming struggles nilang na-experience, lalo na yung internet nga.
Ang message ko sa private school teachers ay ang policy natin ay blended learning. In instances na talagang mahirap, kagaya nung ginagawa sa Cagayan de Oro kanina, nakita ninyo sa Region 10, may mga combination sila na online may connectivity, tapos mayroon ding online may problema. We have to resort to other ways by which we can transmit learning. Natanggap ko nga yung question na yan from one of also of the anchors sa isang radio program na anong gagawin natin. Itong issue na ito ay dinudulog natin sa concerned agencies like NTC, DITC kasi sila ang tumitingin dyan yung issue ng connectivity. Kaya nga may provision tayo, kaya nga blended natin dahil nga noon pinaliwanag ko na ang tendency mo, if you have the kind of data that we have on computers and so on, connectivity in the country, you would think that ang pinaka-logical, it should be largely online, as it is largely online in many other countries. But it turns out there are other factors also. At saka yung preferences ng mga parents at saka mga teachers. Ito, the most that we, I will not say the most kasi sasabihin naman na wala akong puso, no? Ang ginagawa namin is we bring this to the attention. Even the president himself in his speech sa SONA has already instructed concerned agencies, the ITC, the DepEd, and the NTC to speed up availability of yung connectivity. So, in the meantime, ito yung advice ko sa mga private school teachers. Maybe we can share the experiences of our various regional offices na kung anong ginagawa nila kung mahina ang connectivity or it is not reliable. So, kino-combine nila sa other methods of transmission. I don't know, kasi yung halimbawa sa Region 10 nakita ko kanina, pumapasok sila sa TV, pumapasok sila sa radyo. Sa mga islands, I know, radio is very, very effective. Yung iba naman, cellphone ang ginagamit. Tinitext yung mga teachers kasi alam naman natin, as I said, na maraming may smartphone na mas maganda pa ng smartphone ng Secretary of Education, na maraming nagagawa sa kanilang smartphones. Ngayon, people hold meetings, nagzo-zoom through their smartphones, pero yung transmission of learning, that is something that we have to internalize. So, yun ang advice ko. Maghanap ng ibang paraan, perhaps share the experience of our regions and our various schools kung anong ginagawa when these things happen. Explore other ways of learning delivery like TV and radio. Radio classic talaga yon, hindi pa ako pinanganak. Distance learning, pinanganak nga ako 1940. Pero yung radio, World War I pa. Kasi panahon ako ng World War II. So, ginagamit na yon. Yun ang advice ko. I'm sure hindi mawawalan ng creativity ang mga private schools. Kasi that's what teaching is all about. Like a certain mother who taught children how to read using banana leaves. And only recently, may nakita kung saan bang school, saan bang place na yan na ang isang teacher nagtuturo din using leaves din of some certain trees, no? To teach children how to write dahil walang papel. So, yung creativity lumalabas dyan. Pero I would like to say na hindi namin absolutely controlled ang connectivity kasi ibang agencies ang tumutulong sa atin dyan. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Salamat po.
Bye-bye.
Maraming salamat, ma'am. Thank you so much, Pauline. Ang huling magtatanong, ma'am, si Ken Cabaltera ng Bicol Idol FM. Ken, go ahead. Ken? Wala na po ata, ma'am. So I think that's si Pauline.
Nagutom na si Ken. Ginutom na si Ken.
So now, we proceed po sa panghuling pananalita po mula kay Undersecretary Annalyn Sevilla. Ma'am, yung closing statement po natin.
Closing before the Secretary. I think we are
Hindi na tapos na ako.
Okay, ma'am. On
tapos
behalf
na yung
of...
mga quota ko. Seeded na.
Thank you po, ma'am. On behalf of the Department of Education, we are celebrating the National Heroes Day in this way. This press conference was really committed to the teachers who have helped us implement the Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan. Kanina po, napakinggan ninyo, nakita ninyo si Teacher Rowen Orsolino ng Alabat Island National High School sa Quezon Province. Mismo sa kanya nanggaling na ang kagustuhan nila ay magtuloy ang pag-aaral. at kahit gaano to kahirap, gagawin nila ito. Isa po yon sa mga modern day heroes na ating pong sineselebrate ngayon. At mula po sa ating secretary, sabi nga niya, wala man lang nakakapansin pero tuloy-tuloy ang gobyerno. Tuloy-tuloy na nagtatrabaho para sa lahat. Yan din po sana makita natin bilang mga nakakatanda na ay ipaalam sa ating mga nakakabata na ang National Heroes Day ay hindi lamang para sa mga national heroes natin na mga bayani na nakikita natin na bilang monumento. Pero ang mga heroes ngayon ay buhay, nagtatrabaho, nakikipag-usap sa inyo, kasama ng mga guro, ang mga magulang, mga taga-local government units. Nakita ninyo kung paano siya ginagawa. Napakahirap pero hindi ko kami susuko. And I think yun po ang magiging kahulugan ng modernong bayani ngayon. National Heroes Day, kami po ay nakipagdiwang kasama kayo, kasama ang aming secretary. Para po ito sa inyong lahat, para po sa ating mga kabataan at para sa ating bayang Pilipinas. Magandang umaga. Kain na tayo, ma'am.
Oo, diabetic pa naman ako.
Maraming salamat, Yusek Ann. Thank you, ma'am, for that very brave and inspiring closing statement. So with the leadership of Ma'am Liling, we soldier on and we shall overcome. Maraming salamat din po sa ating mga RDs, kay Teacher Rowan, all the way from Alabat Island, Quezon, ating mga undersecretaries and spokespersons natin sa DepEd, ang mga kasamahan sa media, at sa mga kasama sa publiko na patuloy na sumusubaybay sa weekly updates ng Department of Education. Hanggang sa muli po, on behalf of the Public Affairs staff na nandito ngayon, nagre-report din, binabati namin kayo ng masayang pagdiriwang ng National Heroes Day.
Palaging pinapalo ng sekretary. Pinipingutan tenga.
Hanggang sa susunod na virtual press conference po, sama-sama nating ihanda ang ating isip upang maging handa para sa bukas. Maraming salamat at magandang hapon po sa ating lahat.
Thank you po. Maraming salamat po.
Gusto ko makita yung mga face ng mga nagtatanong para...
Po, pakita niyo yung picture niya.